Laredo, take us out.
Take her out.
All right! Take flight each and every Friday night. Join the fun and let's go OffWorld. Geek out with us live where the nerdiness will thrive. Buckle up and let's go OffWorld. Toys, comics, pop culture news, movies and so much more. Matthew, Jesse, Curtis, and Sean are your guides on this fun-filled tour. Take flight each and every Friday night. Join the fun and let's go OffWorld. Let's go OffWorld. Let's go OffWorld. Hey, hey, hey. Let's go OffWorld tonight.
Yo, let's go OffWorld. How is everybody doing tonight? I am excited. Anybody watching, before you get too excited, Dooch will be here. He's just running late, so hold down the excitement. All one of you in Joe Gonzalez. Jesse, how you doing, sir?
I am definitely on a lag of some sort over here, but I'm doing okay.
You are, because it's taking you forever to answer. But that's all right.
I'll be right
Sean, how are you doing today?
Fine. How are you? Whoa. What the
Well, Chris is going out and coming back in, I guess.
heck? That's what I thought I could do, and then I ended up with a second child, so I don't know what the hell happens.
Oh, wow. Yeah, when I went for my third, we ended up with twins, and we doubled up and got 4. And I was like, man, we started with 1, and then we doubled that, went to 2, doubled that, went to 4. I can't do 8, so that was it. It was done. So
Pretty soon you're at like a baker's dozen almost. Then
yeah.
That's when you know you did something wrong, as far as I'm concerned.
That's too many. So, well, while we wait for Jesse and Dooch, how's your week been? I know you've been like super busy lately, right?
Yeah, it's the end of the month. Invoice is due today, so had to get all of my I's dotted, T's crossed.
Gotcha.
It's always fun.
Gotcha.
How about you?
I've been. Jesse's back, and there he is. Jesse, how are we doing?
I don't know yet. How are we doing?
Okay, we'll see. I've been on the mend. I had my surgery a couple weeks back, a couple Mondays ago. So I'm mostly healed from that. Incisions are healing really well. Off the pain meds. I do have a bunch of other meds they got me taking, blood thinners and stool softeners and all kinds of other fun stuff. So I'm still on a lot of meds, but like I said, mostly feeling okay. It's just the emotional strain of a month-long liquid diet that's starting to get to me. So, the first 2 weeks before the surgery, the liquid diet, not too bad. First week after the surgery wasn't too bad. But this week it started to just kind of becomes monotonous, having the same thing over and over again without being able to chew any of your meals. So, but on a positive note, this Monday ends my liquid diet, and I get the things that get incorporated are like soft foods, almost to a pureed status. So I get scrambled eggs. I get cottage cheese, which I've never looked forward to so much in my life. And then the big one that a lot of folks that go through this surgery look forward to when it gets to this stage, it's called ricotta bake, which is basically like a lasagna, but with no noodles. They just take these little dishes and fill it with ricotta cheese, some sauce, and some mozzarella, and then bake it in the oven. So really looking forward to that. So yeah, I mean, other than that, it's just been, I was off a week of work for the surgery. This week I started back at work, and anytime that you miss a week, it's like you come back to like a million emails, and it's like it's almost not worth taking the time off because you come back to twice as much work when you get back. But Jesse, how have you been?
Yes. I don't. I'm fine.
Okay.
How are you? Thank you.
Well, we just answered how we're doing. Yeah. Sean's been busy with work. Invoices due. I've been busy recovering, and you've been Bob Ross. So
I've been good. I work adjusting to my new work schedule. It isn't hugely different, but slightly different than it has been. And trying to get stuff painted up. I am so behind on what I need to do for Legion's Con. Excuse me, what I want to do for Legion's Con. But I'll get there.
Joe says, does Curtis have his speech shirt on? I have my Captain America shirt, the real Captain America, if that's what you're talking about. It's my captain. So
I rewatched that the speech sequence tonight, and I got to call you out on everything you said in your live.
You can call out whatever you want, but you were dead ass wrong. So
nope.
Okay.
He walks past the microphones. He ignores the reporters. They're filming him. He walks past them, and he goes and talks to the senators that he helped rescue out of the truck that was dangling off the edge.
Okay.
There's like a time dilation there that you're not giving allowance for.
Does he not give a speech to the senators?
He gives a speech to the senators because they start talking to him.
And then immediately after, do the superpowered villains that he didn't escort to prison get blown up?
It's another scene, total music shift. It could be, and it's at least the next day.
Oh, it's at least the next day. So they had a big
the prisoners are getting transported
to
to the maximum security prison.
So they had a big fight with the superpowered bad guys, and then they just left them out there for a day before taking them to prison.
No.
Okay.
The cut goes to them getting marched out of some sort of facility into a truck that's going to transport them to whatever aircraft or boat that's going to take them to the raft.
Okay.
The cut is jarring. I will give you that, but I do not read that as the same night.
As he's lecturing the senators, is the teenage girl that was the main villain of this whole thing not on a gurney dead behind him as he's giving a lecture?
He carried her
Agent
up
13
and put
not
her on...
shot in the stomach looking for medical attention?
No, she's not looking for medical attention.
Oh, okay.
She specifically says she doesn't want the hospital. She doesn't want medical help because she's
got a bullet in her gut, right? And she's bleeding out. And he's like, hey, hold on, let me make this speech first.
Yeah. She's standing like 3 cars behind Bucky and U.S. Agent
with a bullet in the
distance of her own free will.
Understood. But if I had
hanging out, she could have left.
If I had somebody that I considered to be a friend with a bullet in their stomach, I wouldn't go, 1 second, let me go give this lecture to these senators real quick. Just saying. I'm just saying. I think the timing was poor. I think the speech was good. I think the timing was poor. So.
Oh man, the lag is really
it. You know what it is? It's probably the internet just knowing that you're wrong and trying to shut you down. So.
I'm going to imagine you just told me I was wrong on some point, and I'm just going to say everything that you pointed out is a twisted perception of reality. All right, let's move on to something before we lose Sean. Or is he going to look up the scene now and watch it? Oh, no, he's playing with toys.
That's fine. He's got toys. He's good. That's good. So how about pickups? Can we start pickups without Dooch? We'll start with Jesse. Jesse, you got any pickups for this past 2 weeks?
Definitely.
Since we don't do this every Friday.
I definitely don't want to do pickups with Dooch. That sounds like a lawsuit waiting to happen. Yeah, I got the Flash Bat Cycle. I
Nice.
took it apart so I can spray paint it. It was like $14 at Target.
It's a little bit of a chore to get all of that apart. Unless you didn't, did you take it all apart or just one piece of it?
I got enough to get the wheels out because that was the main thing I was worried about. So if I can like get the rest of the chassis painted the way
Gotcha.
I can then go in and detail the stuff. But yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, I took it down like completely, and it was like I don't know, like 14 screws or something. I was like, gosh, dang it! This little piece of plastic, like they put a lot of screws in there.
Yeah, I hope I can get it back together.
Come on.
Hey, what's up?
This is my boy.
There he
Got a
is.
little visitor.
Decided to co-host, so we don't need Matt, huh? What's your opinion? You don't know, neither do I.
Did he have any pickups this week?
Did you? Hey, let's see here. This guy or this guy? Which guy will win? Decide right now. Show him. Hulk or Red Hulk? Which one?
Ooh.
Over here. There you go. Which one?
Who wins?
Green
Nice.
Hulk. Green means
Nice.
go. Good job.
Green means go.
Nice.
Three viewers just had a heart attack watching those toys smash together.
Go down.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
You got all
I
the
mean,
colors of the all the traffic
Hulk,
colors.
Hulk does smash, so.
Red, orange,
Yeah, he does.
green. Go, slow down, stop.
Good job. Are you heading to bed?
No.
No. Okay. Did you want to hug?
No.
All right. I love you, pal. All right. You're just gonna play. Okay. He's just gonna play.
Man,
No, that's
everybody's
cool.
heart just grew 3 times bigger just now.
There you go. Showing off that amazing battle cat head.
That's true.
He can only open his mouth this wide.
So that's pretty darn.
Oh,
wide.
that's pretty
Only.
big though. Yeah. It's big enough.
That could
to
fit a
kid
whole
in there, I
Orko
think.
in there at least,
I was
right?
gonna say I can only open my mouth wide enough to shove a cupcake in it
This
That
is
one's
baby.
crazy. Yeah.
and annoy Curtis.
So,
How big does your mouth open, Jesse? Yeah, about cupcake big.
Mine open.
I can get a lot in there, but that's all the bigger it opens.
Wow, that's pretty big.
And this is also mine.
oh,
It's
here
a
we go.
Superman.
These are his pickups.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Who's like David Bowie because half his
Wait,
face
wait,
is red.
Oh, he doesn't have green on him.
No. No green.
he's allergic to green.
Look what
Yeah, that's true.
This is the last one.
Not
Show this
necessarily
off
the
real
color
quick.
green, but definitely the kryptonite.
Yeah, I
green.
showed that off.
Oh, yeah, that's a
ahead.
good one.
Yeah.
Ooh.
See?
He can. It actually blows smoke out sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah.
If I
Needs
set
to-
them up.
We all blow smoke out a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially Jesse when he's
He also
defending
has
shows that don't need
Mario,
defended.
Ted, and Luigi.
Yeah, I know. I showed it off on the show already once.
Nice.
I thought he was going to bed, but apparently he's not.
I'm just getting that moment in Endgame when Morgan comes out and like, Mom told me to come save you, and she picks him up, or he picks her up, and he's like,
Yeah.
I am saved.
Yeah. Well, back to pickups. Did you have anything else, Jesse, or just the bike?
I think I did. I picked up, what was it? I picked up an Ewok.
Oh,
But it's already on my Star Wars shelf, so I'm not getting that down. And I got
Gotcha.
one of the last Transformers I need. I need 3 more, and then I'm done with Transformers. I picked up Shrapnel, the Insecticon.
So did you have like a list of ones that you wanted to collect and you're towards the end of that list? Is that what you're saying? Or is there a particular line that you were collecting that you were...
No, I want to get the last things I want to get are the 3 original Insecticons and the Dinobots. So there's only one of the 2 remaining Dinobots that have been announced. And the Swoop, the last one, has not been announced yet, or at least if it has, I've missed it.
Gotcha.
If you want 'em.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sean, you got any pickups for this past 2 weeks?
Nope, I've had to be good, and I've been sticking to it, ironically, compared to normal, at least. So,
Well,
go for it, Curtis. What do you got?
I'm afraid we're gonna have kind of a boring pickup session because I did not. I mean, obviously, I was recovering and stuff, so I didn't really get out much.
That's
But
true.
I did get out yesterday, 2 days ago. Target's been having a big sale on a lot of their Hasbro stuff. So their G.I. Joes, their Marvel stuff, their D&D line is all like half off. And there wasn't really a whole lot that I was looking for from there, but they did have the Hawkeye with the little ship thingy that I kind of wanted to get just for the ship because it does kind of scale with Legions. So this was originally like, I want to say like 40 or 50. And I think I got it for like 20 something. So that was kind of cool. And other than that, I did go out with the kids today, just kind of get some steps in, whatever. We went around the mall and we stopped at Hot Topic and I picked up these little DC mystery bags. And listen, I am so much not a pop guy. Like pops were never my thing, but they've got these little pops that come in like mystery bags. And I don't even know if I'm going to blow myself up. And still don't know if you're going to see this on camera. It's so tiny. But these things, they like come in a mystery bag and there's like these DC ones. And like, so I got Batman and like the thing unplugs from the bottom so that the figure comes out. And then you can put it back on it. And it's just like a little miniature pop thing. We got Batman and Joker. Once again, I don't know that you're going to see this stuff, but Joker. We got a Robin, Scarecrow, and then Poison Ivy, and then like an Adam West Batman. So like the old 60s Batman. So I got 6 of them. They're, like I said, they're mystery bags, so you don't know what you're going to get. I was hoping to get a Harley Quinn for my wife. She collects Harley Quinns, but no Harley Quinn. But they are pretty neat. And then while I was at Target the other day, I saw they had the same kind of thing for, I believe it was Star Wars, where they had some of these miniature pops. Mm-hmm. And these things are really cool. Like I said, I've never been a pop guy. I feel like they're just they take up a lot of space, like the original, just, like, because people keep them in the boxes. So when you're keeping them in the box, like, you just have to have a lot of room to display them and stuff. And it's just never been my thing. But these little ones are really awesome. And I don't know, if they keep putting out stuff like that, I may have to pick up some other ones. So I was pretty impressed. I thought I was just going to be one of these things. I mean, they're like $4 for like these mystery bags at Hot Topic. And I was like, we'll open these up, have a little fun, just seeing what the characters are. And then I'll probably just toss them or whatever. But I am super impressed with them. Like for some reason, I like them a lot more than I thought I would. So I got the pop fever. So there it is.
All right, as they're dumping tons of their stuff in the landfills.
Yeah. Well, these will take much less space in the landfill, so these will be better for the environment. But yeah, that's all I've got. So I am looking forward to some new toy purchases, including Figure Obscura tomorrow. So they dropped the little teaser today for that.
The what?
Teaser for Figure Obscura. So
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's the third line from Four Horsemen. They do the Mythic Legions, Cosmic Legion, and there's one called Figure Obscura. And usually it's one that requires me to do some reading, which you would think would be my least favorite, but for some reason it's my most favorite. I think just the surprise mystery of it. I don't know. Like, I'm going to go to bed tonight like it's Christmas Eve. I'm going to wake up in the morning and be like, ooh, what did the Four Horsemen bring me? And then we're going to see what it is. So a lot of people trying to decipher from the image was like a clock. It was a portion of a clock. Had the Figure Obscura key pointing to the number 5. My buddy Jesse here pointed out that the number 4 is in a strange. It's got the individual tick marks instead of the IV, which
I've learned that that's not as unusual as I think it is.
I've heard that it's on like some of the old clocks have it and things like that, but it is for us as far as just Roman numerals go. It's a little unique. But you know what? Last time we had with the Monkey King, there were all those scrolls and there were like Nordic symbols on the scrolls and stuff, and everybody's trying to decipher them. And then Jeremy was like, yeah, I just grabbed an image off of Google, and it just had those on there to begin with.
Well,
so who knows?
I love one person had done a full forensic breakdown, like people were doing with the Monkey King one. Like they circled different things, and I was like, I kind of feel like you with the whole speech sequence, like you're really kind of pushing to make things fit in what you're seeing here.
Yeah. I saw somebody that was like, if you turn it upside down and zoom in, you can clearly see what it is. And then they just like wrote the word dragon. So I doubt that's what it's going to be. But for some reason, I think they would give us a little bit more than 24 hours to purchase a dragon. But we'll see. Whatever it is, it's going to be fun. It's going to require some reading. Yeah. So. Speaking of reading, while we wait for Dooch, I did read through the Last Ronin. Very much enjoyed it. I thought the ending was a little bit could have been better, but I thought the overall story and stuff was really awesome. It made me look forward to. I hear there's a video game coming. There may be like a movie or something coming. So, yeah. Have either of you read that Last Ronin?
Yes, I have.
And what did you think?
It's for it being like an extension of the original series, I thought it was good. It was definitely a lot grimmer and darker and moodier than like I prefer.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good. Like I thought it was good. It was interesting. But yeah, I'm liking the regular IDW series. Much is probably my favorite Turtles thing of all time. So.
And what is that? That's just basically
that's
like
the monthly comic that's been going on for 12 years now, 11 years.
But I mean, the time setting is they're still teenagers and kicking about and doing normal stuff, or is there some other?
Yeah, they've got their own twist on it. It kind of mixes a lot of things from other eras of it, but then has its own real strong flavor to it, where they're actually reincarnated versions of Hamato Yoshi's sons. They're not just random turtles. Like there's a lot more
gotcha
into that, and the way like Shredder and the ooze and all that stuff is connected is done in a really cool way, I think.
Gotcha. Sean, have you had any experience with Last Ronin?
I just know of it, and I know who it is because that was like a while back. That was ruined for me, so I already knew that one. And I've seen the NECA figure, but I have not read it. So
gotcha. I think it's pretty good. It, like Jesse said, it's much darker than like the normal Turtles and stuff. I mean, obviously, if you know anything about the Last Ronin, you know there's going to be some darkness to that. But I thought it was pretty good for something that made me read. I thought it was pretty good.
Cool.
Speaking of Turtles, I saw something interesting this week. Some guy was defending Shredder from the original TMNT movie. And his defense was that basically, Shredder is over in Japan and he's doing his thing and he's fighting and he, takes the loss and the scratch on the face and all this kind of stuff. And he moves and tries to restart his life going to America. And he's, working to get these kids off the street and, take them in and help them and give them a new like goal and life and train them up in the martial arts way. And, here comes this rat who, is raising these turtles, not on proper turtle food, not with the right way that you should be raising, turtles, and letting them just eat pizza all day, which is really not healthy for turtles. And then training them to go after and beat up the Shredder. So I don't know. What are your guys' take on that? You think that maybe Shredder is the good guy in that movie? Just getting stares. No, not
Well,
buying.
that Johnny's the bad guy in Karate Kid, right?
No, he definitely is not. But okay.
There's that whole thing of every villain is the hero of their own stories. So maybe that's what he emailed the guy as his argument, and hoping that social media might not cancel him. I don't know, but like when I watch that movie, all I think is he's very self-interested. He could give a crap less about those kids as long as he gets the stuff he wants, so that he can, there was never like a what do they do once they get that stuff either in the movie. It was never like they keep stealing this stuff. Well, what are they doing? It's not like there's then they sell it back somehow. They're marking it up.
They bring in new recruits and they give them cartons of cigarettes. That's what you do.
They get them mental. Yeah. But
I'm more forgiving of was it Superfly in the new animated one until he goes off the deep end, because at least he was pitching the idea of family and how he brought those mutants together until he revealed his true hand in the last third of the movie. But yeah, they're freaking mutant turtles. They're mutants.
Okay, so think of it from this side. You're a homeless kid, right? You've got your parents kicked you out. Maybe they got arrested. Maybe they, Child Protective Services got them. You got thrown in foster care. You break out. You're out in the streets. And all of a sudden, this guy is teaching you discipline. He's teaching you martial arts. He's bringing you in as part of this family. And you get to play video games and get menthol cigarettes. And this guy's taking care of you, and you're part of this group, and you feel connected.
It's like a staging ground for young actors, because we know that Sam Rockwell eventually gets Galaxy Quest because of his training in the Foot Clan, which is beautiful. I love it. Galaxy Quest would be a lesser movie without Sam Rockwell. We all know
that is true. He's the best part of that movie.
But unfortunately, besides him and Skeet Ulrich, the rest just kind of faded into obscurity. So I don't know. I don't know. Because it's on that side, you have Shredder and Tatsu who are willing to kick the living shit out of you constantly. Or you got Splinter, who he wants to feed you pizza, and you get to hang out with the turtles and have a good time, but you live in the sewer.
Yeah, maybe Tatsu would kick your ass every now and then, but that's just called tough love, So
I can't process the bits from reality, so I don't know where to actually dig in on any of this.
I like to give some villains the benefit of the doubt and try to see things from their point of view, and I'm just saying, maybe
I have this in my head, Tatsu punches out the guy. Why did you make me do that? You're like, oh my god! It's one of those. It's like, where did you learn this? I learned it by watching you. It's very 1987 ABC infomercial, anti-drug commercials and all that.
The guy who gets up after Tatsu knocks him out, and he's like, "You don't understand. He's not normally like this. Sometimes I make him angry. It's really my fault, not his.
It's my turn to cuddle him tonight. I'll take care of this."
The next day he's going to walk into the training area, and they're like, "Oh, dude, your eye." He's like, "Oh, I walked into a door." "No, we saw Tatsu do that to you." No, I was just clumsy.
Yeah, no, that had nothing to do. It was just coincidence that happened, and then this.
Tatsu translated into English as door. That's the problem. Did you close the Tatsu? Yes, I did. Oh my god! Don't hit me!
Henri Yu says, "Can we mention that Shredder did commit a double homicide in that movie? He killed the guy at the beginning. Who's the double homicide?"
Well, he killed the girl.
Oh, I forgot about the girl.
He killed Shen. and that's why Yoshi was after him.
But you know, people can redeem themselves.
He kills.
So.
Yeah, he kills Shen and Yoshi.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Because I that's one thing I wish they could get in line. Let's stick with one origin for Splinter and run with it instead. Like, I did love in the new one how they made fun of the movie, the original movie. Like, there were so many people picking that apart, and it's like the original movie for me is like 10 out of 10, no way around it. But they have the whole origin scene where Splinter's like, I followed my Yoshi's master's movements, and it's like, even as a kid, I was like, oh, we're going here. Okay. And it's like, I did like him better when he was a guy. So at least with Jackie Chan playing Splinter in the new one, I didn't feel like they were trying to make fun of it, but I like how they did the whole, I learned it by doing this, and the way that they did it was great, and it made me laugh my ass off, and I appreciated that because the first movie's so serious, at least.
So that brings up a good question. What is your preferred Splinter origin? Does he start as a rat or does he start as a man? Whoever wants to go.
Go ahead, Sean.
I like it if he's a man because then the training makes a lot more sense. And then it doesn't have the comedy of the new one, and it doesn't have, like, watching the original one, I'm like, there's so many things about martial arts you need to learn from a person who does martial arts. You can't, it's like in Karate Kid, you don't learn karate from the book. You learn it by doing it, and you learn it with a teacher that understands it. And so even when I was a kid watching the first movie, I'd already seen Karate Kid, and I had that in the back of my head watching the training, and I'm like, this isn't lining up for me, but I love the movie. I love the rest of it, so 10 out of 10. But that's that one part that always sticks with me. So yeah, I love it better when he's a man.
I gotta say, I have to rate the movie a 9.95.
Oh, well, listen to you. But that's KC. April.
No, I'd say my favorite version of Splinter is the IDW, because he is Hamato Yoshi. It's his reincarnated spirit. I forget exactly how they work out the ooze tapping into that from the past, because he's from actual feudal Japan, not 1980s Japan, and I think that's my favorite. Now, I do love that movie. I'll say that I always thought that was goofy when the rats, they're mimicking the poses. I'm like, I can't do that. And then, like, as soon as that scene moved on, I'm like, I don't care. Like, the rest of this movie is awesome at that. So, like 30 seconds later, you have the turtle in the sewer going, radical.
Yeah.
Pizza.
I completely see. That's why, like, I don't want to argue it to a certain point, because it really is ridiculous when you think of the concept. So either way, but for me, that feels more grounded. That okay, Yoshi is Splinter, not Splinter is Yoshi's pet, and then you just go from there at least. Because even in the new movie, they didn't even go with Yoshi at all. He was just a street rat. Which was, I actually thought that was fun too. They completely sidestepped that whole thing in the new one.
But I mean, when you think back to the first time that you heard the title Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, didn't you think that is the weirdest, stupidest sounding thing I've ever heard in my life, and I have to learn more?
The first time I heard the name, I literally thought that was one of those B movies that my mom never told me she watched as a kid. It literally sounded like one of those like 50s monster movies that should have been, in a drive-in back in the day or whatever. But yeah, that was one of those things I loved about it, though, was when I first, like, Jesse was my gateway to those characters, and like, okay, there's 4 turtles, and then all of a sudden there's a rat, and I'm like, who's the rat? That's their sensei. I don't know why. It blew my mind that it wasn't like, here's another turtle who's their sensei. No, it's a rat. And once you got into it from that angle, I'm like, okay, this is nuts. What else can we do with this? It's fun. Like it. And I was, what were we, like 9-10 years old when that one? I want to say 10 or 11. Probably.
It was like 88. Oh, when the movie came out.
When we first got into it, because we got into it before the movie even came out.
Yeah, so
You're
I mean, the
probably
movie,
10.
the cartoon, I think came out like it had to be like 88, because
Yeah.
we were still in third grade,
So
right?
so around 10 years old or so.
Yeah.
But
Well, I was just 9.
mhm. So I would have been 9, maybe 10-ish, going on 10. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, just all of the ways that they presented that in that original toy line, and then reading the original, the Mirage comics in the graphic novel form when I was a kid, I was like, this is
And
just it's crazy, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I gotta say, there's like a level of stuff that as fans, I think we take way too seriously. Not us specifically, but just in general fans, because like the whole concept was kind of a spoof, and they're like, "Oh, this is kind of fun. Let's do." Like, it wasn't like this like deep,
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna write this story and it's gonna have all these deep meanings about like fatherhood and all this stuff." It's kind of like, "Oh,
It wasn't real
there's
literature.
a turtle with a nunchuck."
Yeah.
And like the original card, like, I think it's great that people are able to, with any property, not just turtles, can find things to identify with. And I won't get too serious on that, but sometimes we got to remember the beginning of this was not meant to be causing philosophical conversations
Right.
45 years later.
Right. I mean, I think it's an interesting conversation though, because a lot of times when you adapt something from comic books or cartoons into live action, I think we have a tendency to look at it and go, okay, well, they changed that and they changed this, and I don't like that they changed that, whatever. But to Sean's point, and yours too, Jesse, like, it's such a crazy, wild concept to begin with that it's like, okay, the rat's practicing kung fu in a cage before even like hitting the
Yeah.
ooze or anything. Like, he's just practicing kung fu, and we're just like, all right,
Yeah.
cool, I'm with it. Okay, what else? Like, you just take it with a grain of salt and just keep going.
Mhm.
Yeah. And like, I just lost it. It'll come back to me.
That's all right. That's all right. But yeah, I love that movie. I think I'm gonna have to watch it again though, from the aspect of just trying to sympathize with Shredder though, and just see, what was his real
You
motivation.
don't.
So
No.
yeah,
You
he
don't
may
need to-
not be all bad. There may be something good there. So
In the IDW comics, they do that. Like,
they
he is
humanize him a
bad.
little bit.
They give him a type of, I don't want to necessarily say a redemption arc, but without getting too into it, like he's got an interesting arc other than just the bad guy or the bad guy who's misunderstood by the overconfident good guy. But they do interesting things with Splinter. Like they take Splinter down a dark path in that story. So it's really
Gotcha.
interesting. It's really good.
I just chuckled because of this comment from J Mac. It was great to see the Turtles make a cameo in Ahsoka this week. If you haven't seen the newest episode of Ahsoka, that's pretty funny. Just FYI.
Just
do-
comment, actually, though.
The Joker wanted to make you laugh. Yeah.
No. Stop it.
I just think Joker, well, it depends on there's so many different versions of the Joker. Like, if you're talking about the 89 Batman, like, no, that guy was just fucking evil. And there's other Jokers that are just crazy. And it just depends on which version of your Joker. But I don't know that I've seen one version where I'm like, that dude's a good guy. So
I had a friend who I can't remember this now. Some was a girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse, someone related to them, was not related to them, but connected to them, was a teacher in a high school, and pretty preppy high school. Like, I think it was a private school maybe, or like, you had to pay special to go in, whatever. I think they said like 5 kids in one class wrote about how Joker was their anti-hero of choice, and basing it largely on the Heath Ledger Joker. He was anti the man, standing up to authority, like all the like completely. I mean, granted, it's high school kids, so I don't know how serious are they taking it, or how much of them were just being trolls. But it's just like, I don't know. like the only Joker I can ever really forgive is like the original comics Jokers, where he's like stealing stuff from the bank with giant dollar bills plastered on the the canvas bag, that he's running away, like, or even even the 66 Batman, they like disintegrate world leaders and turn them into colored piles of dust. I mean,
Yeah. I don't know how you can look at the Heath Ledger Joker and call him an anti-hero. That, like, he's just a villain. Like, he's just fucking crazy and killing people for no reason. Like, yeah. I mean, I like to give characters the benefit of doubt and try to look at things from a different perspective, but I don't see that one. So, All right. Well, I don't know if Douche is ever going to show up. What else do we have on the agenda? Do we want to look at this week in theaters? Because we don't want to go into our two topics. Obviously, he's got the Have You Ever, and he also threw out the main topic of discussion for this week. So, unless you guys got anything else to discuss.
Screw him. He knew when we were starting. Let's just roll into it. Let's do whatever. Let's do theaters and then get into the first topic.
This week in theaters, you want to roll a dice or do a wheel or do a something?
I got the dice.
We'll add it to 1981 since that's the first year we can start.
That is a 6.
So that would put us at 1987.
Oh, I think that's a new year.
I don't know that we've done that one. Let's take a look. Let me pull this up first and switch to my presenting screen. And here we go, 1987, and we are looking for September 22nd.
Was that a word?
Yep, September. And here we go. It starts with Fatal Attraction, The Principal, Hellraiser, The Pickup Artist, Stakeout, Dirty Dancing, No Way Out, La Bamba, The Big Easy, and Can't Buy Me Love. So those are the top 10. And I'll be honest, a lot of these, I have no idea what they are. I guess anybody want to start with this one?
I gotta look that up for a second here.
Yeah. Let's see what this is. Pickup Artist. That's looks like Robert Downey and Molly Ringwald. Don't know what that is. Hellraiser, the first one. Principal. This is a pretty, that's a pretty good movie. Fatal Attraction, we know. Stakeout. I don't know. Is it Richard Dreyfuss and
Emilio Estevez?
Oh, okay. All right. Dirty Dancing, No Way Out. Looks like crap. Big Easy. Looks like crap. And Can't Buy Me Love. Yeah, know that one. Okay. All right. I guess I'll start. Not anything really jumping out at me saying like this is, you gotta definitely see this one. But I'm probably gonna do Can't Buy Me Love. I think that's a pretty interesting flick where if you guys haven't seen that one, the nerd guy is not very popular, and he pays the popular gal to kind of date him for the summer or whatever, so that then all the other kids in school think that that he's cool now, and then it all gets to his head, and he becomes like this big giant jerk, and in the end, he ends up getting with the gal that he paid to be his pretend girlfriend for a while, and so it turns out good, and it's got some funny parts in it. To me, that's probably the one out of this that seems the most interesting to me. Principal would probably be second, but yeah, that's my number one. Jesse?
I'd say for me, I'd want to see La Bamba, because I've still never seen that movie beginning to end, and I remember being obsessed with that song this year. because it was on the radio all the time because of the movie. And it was something I remember being told I wasn't allowed to see it, and I didn't know why. So it kind of had that like mystique to it. I mean, I was 8.
Do you know now why you weren't allowed to see it?
No.
It just seems
like I said, I've not. I think
what to keep somebody
is
from
it
watching.
even? Like I said, I was 7, 8 when it was out. So like, I don't know what the movie was rated.
Let's see if this.
But yeah, it's like the life story, like Richie Valens and like the
Yeah.
plane crash with Buddy Holly and all that.
It's a good movie for sure.
Yeah, I've liked the parts I've seen. It's PG-13, so like it's just
Gotcha.
And my parents were split up at the time, so there's probably like some financial stuff where if it wasn't an explicit like kids movie that my mom was going to go enjoy with me, I didn't see it.
Gotcha. Okay. Sean?
Joe said it best. This is an overly 80s movie week, and I'm looking at this going, can I save my money and like buy toys this week or something? But
that's my real answer too, Sean.
Instead of being that guy, I'm going to participate. I'm not going to be that guy, but I'm going to do the one that makes no sense for me whatsoever, but I'm going to do it. And I'll just say Hellraiser, for the fact I've never actually seen Hellraiser. And it's getting close to that time of year where it is fun to watch some horror movies sometimes.
That's not a bad call. Yeah, I used to watch like scary movies. Once I got to a point where I stopped actually trick-or-treating on my own, I began this thing with my mom where we would sit there and we would leave the front porch light on so people would come like trick-or-treaters and stuff, but we'd turn all the other lights off in the house and watch scary movies. And then the kids would ring the doorbell and it would scare the absolute shit out of them. And I remembered we watched Hellraiser together. So that's a good call. And the first movie isn't the best of the Hellraisers, but obviously you can't just jump into one of the other ones. You got to know what the story is. So yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Obviously, if we could have gone past the top 10, RoboCop stands out as a pretty good one. Maybe Amazon Women from the Moon. I don't know what the fuck that is. Amazon Women on the Moon, spoof of a low budget 50s sci-fi movie. Okay. But yeah, this is not really a winner of a week. Like if you're working, like if you're a teenager working in the theaters in 1987 and they kind of, supplement your poor pay per hour by letting you see free movies, you're looking at this week going, man, I need to find a new job.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's see. Let's just take a look at how long these things were out for. So Fatal Attraction, it was the first week in theaters. It was number 1. Nothing on here. RoboCop was 10 weeks and still in the top 12, but nothing else was. Yeah, I mean, this stuff is just in the top 10 because there's really nothing else out at the time. So,
well, the top 4 all came out that week.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, hey, we rolled the dice. We ended up on this, and it is what it is. So,
hey, at least it wasn't Return of the Jedi or whatever again.
Yeah, that's true.
Whatever year that 82, 83.
83.
Yeah.
And 88.
I have a feeling if they reran Return of the Jedi in 87 during that week, it would have been number 1.
Probably.
All right. So now we've done this week in theaters. We've done show pickups. Is this dude ever showing up? What do we do? Has anybody heard from him?
No more than you have. Hey, he knows what's going on. He's got stuff going on. Let's just like.
All
I'm
right.
not going to sit here for 2 hours waiting for him to show up and not do our show.
All right. Well, I don't really know how to bring up this subject. Basically,
I can do it.
Okay. Go ahead.
It's a cold fall morning. You've been back to school for a couple of weeks now. You've been off all summer having a great time, and now the weather's changing. You've been at school. You've been around the other kids. And the plague of a cold hits you. Or the flu. Ooh. Nice. Unexpected. You wake up. Maybe you're actually sick. Maybe you're like Elliot and you're hiding an extraterrestrial in your room and you don't want to go to school that day. Maybe there's a test. Maybe there's a bully. Maybe you just screw it. I don't want to go to school today. So you go to school. You don't go to school. You stay home. If you have siblings, they're off at school. Mom and dad are working, probably. What are you doing? You know, does mom stay home or dad come home early from work? What things did you do to get through that day while you're home alone, or home being ignored or pampered, that brought you comfort? Or maybe, and then we'll roll it into now. So we'll start off when we were kids and we'll move in today or over the years. You're not feeling good. You're like, you know what? I'm just calling in sick today. What is it? What do you put on? What show are you watching? What movie are you watching? What makes you just feel warm and fuzzy? What's that hand knitted, hand crocheted blanket your mom or grandma made for you that you wrap up in, sitting on the couch with your, what beverage are you drinking? What was your go-to cold remedy stuff? So there you are.
That was masterfully done. I didn't know where you were going with it at first, but you set that up well. I will say personally for me, I didn't necessarily do it as you're necessarily sick. You could be sick. Maybe you're just blue. You're just down in the dumps. Maybe it's a rainy day. Maybe it's whatever. But like you said, what are the things that kind of cheer you up? I actually was kind of blanking on this. Like when we talked about this in chat, and I really was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do for this. And so I kind of surveyed my family and we had a discussion about it today, and we kind of went through some stuff. And so I made a whole list of things. So I've got tons of stuff on here. So I will let somebody else go first, because even if you pick something off my list, I got plenty of other things. So I don't know who wants to start, but definitely not me.
Do you want to walk through? Do we want to take turns walking through a day, or do we just want to go through like different elements of it?
I think we can just like shout out individual things, whether it's a piece of media, some sort of food, some sort of item, whatever. If you want to start as when we were kids, we can do it that way and then go into adulthood, or we can just start throwing some shit out, whatever.
All right, I'll roll this. I'll roll my scenario out real quick. So it's 1987.
Okay.
The year of the movies we were just watching, or whatever year.
You're very depressed because you saw the list of the movies and you're like,
no.
You're like, fuck, I need to take a day off.
Well, I was going to say 1987. I'm not watching any movies unless it's coming up on like ABC, NBC, CBS, or
you got 5 channels.
PBS.
Yeah,
because that's it. That's all we had. There was no VCR for me until '89. When my mom and stepdad got married. So like a sick day up until a certain point was literally a sick day. I was either in bed or on the couch with a blanket. My mom would crush up Tylenol or whatever, mix it with some water and some sugar, because I cannot swallow pills. Well, I can now, but as a child I couldn't. And I literally just had to stay in bed. So like it wasn't like, oh cool, I'm gonna stay home and do my own thing. Like and in high school, if I had a sick day, my stepdad took me to work with him. Oh, you got pink eye, we're gonna go work in this field on a barn that no one uses because you're cheap labor and I'm going to exploit that. But yeah, that's what I would say. Every now and then, if it would be probably like Sprite or ginger ale would be like the drink of choice. If we didn't have that, which we usually didn't once I was with my stepdad, it was caffeine-free Pepsi, which saltines or Ritz crackers, chicken noodle soup, just classic straight up Campbell's chicken noodle soup right out of the can. Well, I mean, not like eating it out of the can, but, yeah, if I can't remember any specific show or movie as a kid I would watch that was that kind of sick. I definitely was not a I'm feeling blue kind of a thing. But yeah, so that was kind of my sick day as a kid.
Oh, and as we're talking about being blue and depressed, here's Dooch.
Hey,
What's happening, guys?
We're just starting to get into the main discussion. Jesse set it up wonderfully about comfort items and whatnot, and he was just going through his routine as a kid if he had a day off of school. So
I love it. Let's go, Jesse. Let's go off-world.
So
we've
Sean,
been off-world. It's
Yeah.
already been off-world.
You have.
yeah, we've been.
You know what I got? I gotta
Eddie's been
say, you know,
off-world.
I'm running around. I'm trying to be everywhere for everybody, and I'm just glad that I got these three fabulous dudes in my life right here. That I know, if I got to be somewhere else, that they can carry the weight of the off-world. I had extreme faith in all you guys.
I do like that now that you're here, our viewer numbers have gone down by 1.
You're welcome.
Good. Fuck it. We're out.
No. I'm just I'm accusing you of being the 9th viewer.
Oh, gotcha.
Ah.
I thought
Now
you were
that had
saying
to be
they were out.
That had to be
Clark Kent and Superman are never in the same room at the same time,
Dun, dun, dun.
or they always are.
So, Sean, as we're starting with, so Dooch, just to give you a heads up, we're starting with, you know, one of these days that you're blue or sick or whatever as a kid, and then we're going to talk about kind of today. So, Sean, you're a kid,
idea. I love it.
you're not feeling well for whatever reason, you stay home. What does your day look like?
I went to specific, like, I remember certain times I was sick, and it was like my dad typically was the one who was like, you're faking it, you're going to school, and he pushed me out the door 9 out of 10 times. And then my mom would be like taking my temperature, or she'd even see the kid looks like he can barely get out of bed, he's staying home, and there would be the ensuing fight, blah 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 blah. But there was one time when I got really sick, and I want to say it was like in 4th or 5th grade, and I was home for like most of the week. It was some kind of flu that hit me like a ton of bricks. And the second day of it happening, because I literally was just in bed. I didn't want to get up. If I had to get up, it was to go to the bathroom, and then I'd throw myself back into bed. And my dad had to go out and get some groceries, and he came back, and he was holding the VHS of Star Wars. And I'm like, you know, like it was kind of mind blowing to me. Like, who's that for? He's like, it's for you. You're feeling sick. At least you got something you can watch while you're sick. And I'm like, really? You know,
I'd never be healthy again.
It made me want to actually get out of bed at least. And I sat at our kitchen table, and the TV VCR were there, and I'd sit there and I was eating like chicken soup. And there I get to watch Star Wars, and my dad didn't bother me about it because he knew I didn't feel good. And then, like, throughout that week, he brought home all of them, one after the other. By Friday, I had Jedi, and I was watching them all. And then I didn't want to go to school the next week because I was like, I want to do that again. I don't want to go to school. I want to watch what Luke Skywalker and Han Solo do again. That was great, you know? Yeah. So it was kind of backfiring on his way of handling it, but I appreciated that he did it because he wasn't always like that every time he went to get stuff. So that was kind of mind blowing that I got all those 3 movies like that. So,
all right, I'll go ahead and go. So there was kind of like 2 different time periods growing up where it was a little bit different as far as the setup on how this would go. When I was really young, same situation Jesse was kind of describing. Like, we had 5 channels on the TV, and that was really it. So whatever was on those 5 channels is all you get. There were we didn't have a VCR. Like, you know, movies at that time were ridiculously expensive to actually own a copy of a movie. So there were no, like, you know, comfort movies or any of those things to do. It was basically stay home. And, you know, typically my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And she watched Young and the Restless. So I'd be laying there on the couch watching Young and the Restless. And it's amazing. Like you would miss a day of school, and then like you wouldn't miss a day till like the next year or whatever, and you would pick up on the same storylines. They're like, oh, Victor and Nikki, they're not together anymore. They're doing this. Okay, Victor's doing. Gotcha. Whose kid is that? Oh, that's their. Okay, got it. You know, it's like. So, so yeah.
Why is he 7 years old? He didn't exist when I saw this last.
Exactly. So it was a lot of watching Young and the Restless, Ritz crackers, like Jesse said, ginger ale if we had it. If I was sick to my stomach, if I wasn't sick to my stomach, then it was just whatever, you know, just dealing with whatever. Now later on, like once we got to be like teenagers and stuff, my mom was kind of like, okay, you're interrupting my soap opera, and I don't want you. If you stay home sick, you stay in your room, and I don't want to see you all day. So then it was much different. It was like stay in the bedroom and kind of play video games or do whatever, but just make sure that I'm quiet enough that my mom doesn't see or hear me all day, because she just doesn't want to be a part of that. So that was kind of mine growing up. I know we put on the thing, and I'm sure Dooch is going to talk about Price is Right. Obviously, that was like, yes. I mean, if you're sitting there watching soap operas and news and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden you get to see the Price is Right, like as a kid, you're like, yes, it's like the you know, the shiny rainbow in the middle of this dark, gloomy day. But yeah, that was pretty much it as a kid. Dude?
Yes, definitely Price is Right. Like that's the first thing you think. You talk about sick day as a kid, think of Bob Barker, Come On Down, like, and it kind of the same thing there. Like you'd obviously only catch it once in a while, but when you did, it's like you're right back in. It's all the same games. Like it's that familiarity there, and it's see, I'm trying to think back. I always remember being left home alone. My mom worked. My dad was gone a lot when I was a kid. So I'm sure there was a point where I was too young to stay home alone, but all the sick days I remember were just me being home alone. Unless I remember one year strep went through our family really bad, and my sister and I were out at the same time. But yeah, Bob Barker was at bright point of the day. I didn't watch the soaps. But then when I got older, once we had cable, then you had like this night, like you had Bob Barker in the morning, and then you had this nice USA Network block in the afternoon with it was like Facts of Life and Wings and a couple other shows I can't recall now, but those were the two big ones. And it's like you only got to watch them. Huh?
I said, look at this guy with cable.
I know, right?
That was high school. That was when we moved into our house in
High roller here.
Yeah, my parents. Oh, but yeah, it's just and warm Sprite had to be warm. My mom would never let us drink cold drinks when we were sick. I have no idea why.
All right.
I was going to ask you guys if any of you had that where it was Sprite, but it had to be warm. My mom made it be warm. My wife thought I was crazy too when I brought that first time one of our kids got sick. I'm like, oh, we got to get him warm Sprite. She's like,
if I had a sore throat or anything remotely close to a sore throat, it was warm salt water I had to gargle.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
No.
And once we were with my stepdad, any illness, any sort of not feeling good, upset stomach, hives, my fingers are falling off, whatever it was, Alka-Seltzer. Take an Alka-Seltzer.
My
it's like the Greeks with the Windex.
I was just going to say, reminds me of that. Yeah.
Is Alka-Seltzer. Oh, you're bleeding internally? Take an Alka-Seltzer. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. You know, like
my grandpa was like that with whiskey. It didn't matter what, like if you had a cold, you throwing up your guts, your fingers are falling off, whatever. It's like, here's a little whiskey. This will fix you right up. So,
especially when you're that small, man, that's just going to knock you right out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to feel anything. Not that I know.
Not at all. No, but it was warm Sprite, chicken noodle soup, and saltines like that. That was the go-to. And then it's funny.
What was your favorite as a kid? If you can think back, what was your favorite Price is Right game? What was the game that came on that you're like, yes, this is the one I was hoping would show up today.
I would have to say the I'm gonna get the name the mountain climber game.
Oh, I love
where,
the
like,
mountain climber.
Yeah, you had to stop him at a certain point without him going
Yeah.
over and everything.
Yeah,
That one was always
he
a
would
lot of
yodel
fun.
as he's going up the
Yeah.
mountain.
I think that's what I liked. It was kind of cartoonish and everything. What about you guys?
Yeah. I was gonna say that one, but another one that I always liked was the little putt golf one where it was the hole in one.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then he would flip the sign or two, like and it was like a big surprise that he was gonna give him a second shot at it. You know, I liked that one.
Sean, Jesse.
I don't think I have the fondness for this show that you guys have.
Okay.
Oh wow.
I really remember. Not that I never watched the show,
Right.
but I only really remember it being a thing one summer. My brother was basically my brother Joe was before I met Sean. All summer we were hanging out with these three kids that were up the street. He was kind of getting paid by our mom and his mom to watch us all summer. And they were around my age, a year or two older, and the sister was like a year younger than me. Like, we would go in and watch Price is Right, and we made our own game. We're like, oh, got it. If we saw something cool that we wanted, whoever said it first, like we were claiming it. So I didn't like the show because it had way too many numbers, and I didn't understand the concept of what stuff cost as a kid. At that point, like, I just didn't understand prices. So like that show's completely lost on me.
Well, I wasn't big on
and I hated his microphone. I hated that microphone.
The little stick mic.
I don't know why.
That was all Bob Barker. He requested that specifically, and he would not. Switch it up. The pencil mic.
And that's nothing against him. I'm not saying bad words about Bob Barker. Don't come after me. I just didn't like that microphone for some reason. It felt weird.
Jesse.
I'll agree with you though. Like the beginning part where it's like an item and there's the four of them or whatever. Like that part was like, like let's get to the games. That's what I want. Like in spinning the wheel, like Scott brought up there. That was always a lot of fun.
Hey, the wheel. Okay, the wheel. I'll say the wheel. The wheel was fun.
Oh,
yeah. Sean, what
like
about
that's
you?
just completely luck of the draw.
Sean, did you have a game that was like your game?
The one that, other than the wheel, because that was going to be my answer, but the other one that comes to mind is Plinko.
Oh yeah.
Because there was something like when I was a kid, there was something so satisfying about seeing that puck moving, and then like sometimes you're like, wow, that went way different than I expected. It really like it'd go all the way to the other side, and you're like, I didn't expect it to go that way. And again, I don't know if it's like some sort of sensory thing, but like the wheel with the blink, 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 and you just see the arrow constantly moving. There's something about that it deep down, it's like it always felt so tactile just to watch that. I've always wanted to touch it and like spin it.
Yeah,
and it looked so heavy. Like these people would like reach up and like pull down with all their strength.
Like even big guys on the show do it, and it's like they couldn't even make it faster than the old lady that was on the week before. Or whatever.
They would start out faster. Bleep 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 bleep.
Yep. That just always felt like satisfying as hell just to watch that part. When
I loved on the Plinko where like people would have like strategies, like I'm not going to start it in this spot, I'm start it over, as if like that had any bear, like it's going to bounce wherever the hell it's going to bounce. Like,
exactly.
You have no control over this, but they would start it in certain spots and stuff and take a look, and it's like, whatever, just do it. But I tell you, like in the summer, I would watch Price is Right all the time. So I'm the opposite of Jesse. Like as a kid, you could ask me like the price of SpaghettiOs and the price of like Head and Shoulders detergent, and within cents, I would be like right there. Like, oh yeah, that's $1.89. You can get that right now, $1.89 right at the store. So.
I'd always just be like $5, $1,
$1.
I'm talking about like when they would have like the everyday items, and like it was like, is this thing $1.89 or is it $3.80? Like which one is it? And I'd be like, oh, that's $1.89 all day. Yeah.
See, I actually think I like that kind of stuff better. Don't get me wrong, Plinko is a national treasure, but I like the higher lower and the is it this price or this price? That may have what started my mind towards the puzzles and riddles and everything. Now that I think about it, like that's
they had that other game too where you would whereas like a price of a car,
Yeah.
and all of the numbers were between 1 and 6.
Yep.
And so you would have to roll the die, and then they would put the die up there, and like you would roll like a 5, and they would put it up there, and they're like, okay, do you think the number here is higher than that?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, those were kind of fun.
Yeah, those are fun little brain teasers. Or like they'd tell you like you have 3 of them right, but they wouldn't tell you like which one and that sort of thing. But actually,
the other one that was really cool was when you would guess the individual items, and then you would get like punches in the thing, and they had the big board that had like all the things, and you would have to punch the holes in it, and then they would pull it out and tell you what you won, and you could trade it in and keep going, or you could take whatever was in there. Yeah,
it's good. Oh, and of course, thank you, Joe. Yes, Bob Barker's appearance on Happy Gilmore
that was good.
That's the best scene of the movie. There, right there.
It's the only part of that movie I like.
So now as an adult,
hang on.
Go ahead.
I got one more quick thing.
Sure, go ahead.
So actually, I was, obviously thinking about this week and everything. It occurred to me that I actually all of us have a sick day to thank for all of this, because there was one sick day. I know it was middle school, probably 7th or 8th grade, and it was in that afternoon lull. Nothing was really on TV, and I went digging through the VHS collection, and I found my old Magic Window He-Man VHSs. And I'm like, I haven't watched this in forever. Like, all my toys still had them, but they'd all been packed away for a while and everything. And so I popped one in, popped another one in, and it was something. I had a bad flu or something. There was somewhere I was like home for like 3 days, and I went through everything that we had on He-Man, dug out my old toys, and that's what like started the resurgence. And then soon thereafter, Mattel released the commemorative and all that. But that's what made me get back into He-Man after a lull, which would eventually be meeting Sean, Jesse, and Curtis. So
nice.
If it hadn't been for that sick day, who knows? I could be doing something in my life.
So, for everybody at home taking notes, if you do get the time machine for the this week in theaters, go back to when Dooch got sick and make sure that he doesn't get sick. Take care of him, whatever you got to do, so that he doesn't fall in love with He-Man, he doesn't meet Sean, and we don't have to spend every other Friday with him.
So in 7th or 8th grade, what was that, like 2005, 2004?
That would have been 98, 99.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Got a nice 2-year gap there.
So
You guys were probably graduated. Curtis had 3 kids already.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
97.
well, that's interesting, because if you watch that 98, 99, then it wasn't too long before you would have been able to get into the 2000X stuff.
That's what I'm saying. So then in 2000, Mattel released the commemorative, and then that paved the way for the 2000X revamp. So yeah, it all kind of boom.
I think the difference.
He's got a pencil. I think he's literally taking notes. Like, okay,
yeah, I think
this is my
commemorative.
I think the difference for us, Dooch, is that we were kids at a time where there weren't, you didn't have cable TV for the most part. You didn't have VHS. You didn't have movies. Hell, for most of my childhood, there were no video games up until, a certain point. So till I was in my, teens, I probably didn't have a video game system. So, it wasn't like you had a plethora of options. It was soap operas or Price is Right or sleep.
Yeah.
So
that's how it was when I was younger, when I lived in Michigan up until we moved out to Arizona just before middle school. And before that, like, there was no cable option. There were not, like, we had to put this freaking 20-foot antenna outside the house just to pick up local stations. And we had three. So
I've got to time you out here. I just want to say, for everyone out there who's struggling with feeling alone and lonely or blue, get a dog that looks at you or someone in your life the way whatever that thing's name is that was just staring up like with
This
like
is Co-
loving
this is
eyes.
Coco. That's Cooper.
Coco, like you were talking, and Coco was just like, Master has
Tell me
spoken."
more about the He-Man on VHS.
You're gonna fight go down. If you want to cuddle,
Tell me
stay
about
up.
the rabbits, George.
Right. So as we move into kind of today, like as an adult, what are those things? You know, I was telling the guys earlier, Dooch, like I was struggling with this like earlier today. I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to talk about. Like, and so I like started a discussion with my family. Went to the mall with the kids and, you know, was kind of talking about it with them. So they were giving me some ideas and I was putting some stuff down. And then I talked to my wife and so now I've got like this huge list of stuff. You know, because I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense and this makes sense. And I started writing stuff down. So I've got a huge list. I think we just kind of round robin this, and you know, if somebody takes it, then you say something else. But I've got a whole list, so I will go last. Whoever wants to go first, Jesse, if you want to, I think you started this off, and then we can kind of go counterclockwise. Yeah.
Okay.
So Jesse, you want to give us one?
What like if I'm staying home, not feeling good,
you're either
if I-
sick or blue or whatever, something that cheers
What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Just start with one thing, and then we'll kind of
without getting too deep in the woods about like mental health stuff, or straight out of the gate. I'll say like my go-to thing if I'm not feeling good, or if I'm having trouble sleeping, or if I'm just trying to, zen out or what have you. And this is gonna sound really weird. I know it's not a great movie, but I love it. But my go-to is The Day After Tomorrow. I have probably watched that movie or had it on to fall asleep to more than any other movie. There's just something really calming about the whole world literally freezing over in mass destruction that just for some reason comforts me. I like being cold when I sleep, so I think the whole point of that movie, as the temperature is shifting and everything's getting colder, other than the really horrible CGI wolves, I really enjoy that movie. It's just I actually just had it on the other day. Wasn't like sick, but I was I was homesick Monday. Felt like crap Monday. I stayed home and like halfway through the day, I was like, I'm putting on Day After Tomorrow, and like 10 minutes in, I was asleep.
Yeah.
Okay. Dooch?
Yeah. So for me, I've definitely got to do something familiar. If I'm staying home, I'm not feeling well. So I guess actually what I'm first going to start with something that I don't do anymore, and that is try and like watch something that I've never seen, but like I wanted to watch. Like, you know, like, oh, the new Avengers is out. I haven't had a chance to see it yet. I will not watch any of that when I'm sick because it tarnishes it for me. I've tried watching movies before or even shows, like start a new show when I'm not feeling well. And then like, I don't know, like then like if I want to go back to it, I'm like, oh no, like I remember not feeling well. So I guess for me, it's like, it's more like I got to go to something that has some good memories or some familiarity to help my mood. Same thing. I mean, I'm not gonna, same thing, Jess. Like I got days where mentally I just feel fried. And it's like, I can't touch new stuff during that time. So, just because then every time I think about that, that's all I'm thinking about is that time I was sick or that time I was, you know, just down in the dumps.
So do you have one go-to that you're specifically talking about?
Definitely sitcoms. Right off the bat, Friends is one I go to a lot. I've watched it the whole way through back when it was on air, and it's one of those that you can just turn on any episode and you know where you're at, you know the punchlines when they're coming, but it's so reassuring and familiar to me to run through that.
Okay. Sean?
Let's see. The thing is, and this, I'm not trying to say this to brag or anything. I don't remember the last time I was sick for a while because I'm not allowed to do that.
Sean the Invincible.
No, it's not Sean the Invincible. It's Sean the I have always got a deadline and I always have to keep working even if I'm sick. So I don't really take the day
Got time
even.
to bleed.
Plus, with the kids and all that stuff, I don't have the ability. But for me, I think one of the go-tos probably would be something like so I growing up, PBS on Saturday nights would have a lot of British comedy sitcoms on. And that would be one of those times where my parents and I would sit and we'd watch like a chunk of TV all together and we'd all be laughing. Never really happened often in my family. So I'd say one of the ones that always made us laugh and we'd laugh until we cried would be Are You Being Served? If anybody ever heard of that one. And that's one that for me, I've seen all the episodes and I'd probably put something like that on because it really does feel like these people, you've seen them for so long, they feel like extended family while you watch them and you know all the jokes. Like what Matt was saying, you know the jokes, you know the punchlines, but it's still something. And if you didn't see it when you're sick, it makes it even better because you're feeling like garbage, but you remember a time when you were feeling better and you were watching it and all that. So.
Okay. The first one, like the main one that sticks in my head, whether it's from when I was a kid till now, is having my blanket. I have my same blankie from when I was a kid till now. My grandma, my mom worked together and made this blanket. It's like a twin size, blanket. It's like flannel on one side. It's got like this cool material on the other side. And I've had it since I was, a kid. And so like if I'm in bed and it's the blanket I sleep with every night, and like having that blanket just wrapped around me, like Jesse was saying, especially if it's like cool in the house and I've got that blanket on, that would be the number one thing. I do have kind of just a blanket downstairs that I use like when I'm sitting on the couch and stuff. But yeah, a warm blanket can really, I don't know. It is very comforting just having a warm blanket on a cold day. So.
No, I completely agree. I didn't even go there and set up, but yeah, you gotta have the blanket over you. I bring my blanket down from my bed upstairs, and yeah, just there's something about the blanket on the couch. If it's a stomach issue, you gotta have the plastic Tupperware bowl next to you. So
yeah,
I'll say I'll second that blanket thing because I don't know why we called them fuzzy blankets when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, of course, I made my bed, which means I just threw my blanket under the pillows on the other side over there. But it's just like I don't know what it is, but it's got like that silk topper at the top and bottom, and it's like got like that kind of fishing line, really thin, clear stitching through it. And the end where it was always knotted up. I remember as a kid when I was little, I would suck my finger up until I was a certain age, and then I'd pick at the knot, like where it was tied off on the edge of the blanket, and rub the silk part like by my cheek or whatever. I have had one of those blankets, not the same one. They get worn out and I have to replace them. I've had one of those my entire life. I have two now. I have one for my bed and one for the couch. So I have a couch blanket and I got a couple pillows for the couch that I just take out to the couch whenever I need to relax out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100% the fuzzy blanket.
Okay. Do you have a different? Do you have another one, or do you want? Yeah.
Go ahead, Jess.
Yeah.
Where are we just talking about things that we do on sleep?
Sleep. Okay.
Yeah, when I'm not
getting
feeling
refreshed and catching up on some sleep.
Yeah, sleep. Or there'll be other comfort movies like when I started getting VH and stuff as a kid, and some of them have translated to now. Star Wars, the original trilogy, is definitely ones that I would go to. Aladdin, the animated Aladdin, and Prince of Thieves. Prince of Thieves was more, I'm home alone and I'm not old enough to go to work yet. So one summer, like I literally just had that movie on repeat all day long while I was like building Legos, or I think that was the summer Sean got me into comics and everything. Or maybe the summer after, I don't remember, because that came out in what, 91?
That came out in 91, and the next summer was one that I'm going to rant about in a minute.
No, so if that came out Christmas time 91.
Well, that came out in the summer of 91, and then it probably came out Christmas time in 91, or maybe a little into 92 somewhere. Because of how
I got it for Christmas one year. Whatever summer was after I got the VHS for Christmas, was the summer I just watched it all summer long. Let's see, October 1991. So it would have been the summer of 92. So comics would have been a part of my life at that point. So all summer I was either down in the basement, which is where Sean would come over. That's where the TV and the VCR for me was. And it was cold concrete basement with like a rolled out carpet across the floor, some old god awful looking furniture, and we would hear the mice crawling through the ceiling at night. There was a dartboard, a pool table.
The dartboard was awesome because we used to turn off the lights and throw the darts at the wall, and they would actually make sparks.
Yeah,
because
totally forgot about that.
There was a light switch near there, and we actually kept aiming for the light switch. We were idiots, but we kept aiming for the light switch, and we got probably, between the two of us, we probably had it spark at least 5 times at one point. And there was one point where we're like, "Oh my god, don't do that anymore!" Your parents are gonna kill us.
Aladdin, Prince of Thieves, like those were things. And like Disney, when I was littler, and when we did get a VHS with my stepdad, it would be like Disney cartoons, like any Disney cartoon I could get my hands on, like the movie ones, like the legit movie ones. But even now, like, like I try to sleep. That's like the big thing. So, I'll take some cold medicine. I go right back to the crackers and chicken noodle soup. Like that's like a go-to if I'm ever not feeling good. Orange juice. That sort of thing. But I just try to, I'm trying to think of other maybe newer things that I go to. I don't usually rewatch a lot of shows. But Chuck is a good show. Like I've watched through Chuck a couple times. I try to watch Firefly and Serenity once a year. Not necessarily when I'm like down for him, but like that's just such a feel good. That series just does so much for me. That like that's a nice thing I try to do on a regular basis, and it's a short series, unfortunately, so that makes it nice and easy to rewatch.
Yeah. All right, dude. Jesse gave us about 10 things.
Yeah.
You got one. You got one for us.
Well, I did want to say, since you got me thinking down the path of like the setup, obviously the blanket, the bowl, all that. But these little guys just made me like a nice dog cuddling with you. Like we always had dogs growing up, and so there's nothing like you got your blanket, you're laying on the couch, and your dog will just come up and snuggle around your feet, or lay on top of you and start farting in your face, whatever, But it's
dog farts. That'll fix you right up.
That'll get you going.
Well, that'll get you going in that plastic bowl.
Yeah, the dog just Dutch ovened me.
Dutch oven.
Yeah, when I was when I was talking to the kids today, that was one of their first ones. Was if they said if they're not feeling well, they just come down here, lay on the couch, and cuddle up with the dog.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good one.
For sure.
Well, now I feel a lot more empty in my life.
Get a dog.
Get a dog.
I can't.
You want?
I can't have a dog.
Get a hamster. Get a pet spider.
Look, no, Jesse needs a ferret. Jesse would totally be a ferret guy. Not a ferret guy.
Not a ferret guy.
I misread that.
He could.
I picture him walking with the satchel and Mr.
It's not the ferret.
And he's like,
it's not the ferret. It was the other thing that Curtis said. Don't say it again, please.
Oh, gotcha. He could do the where he dresses up like Big Lebowski again, and he could do the bath time with the marmot. Oh, great. Okay, Sean, you got another one for us?
So personal story. I got two more that I could do personal, as in this one and another one. When I was in third grade, I ended up we did a pop quiz. The teacher said, go up to the board and you can draw or whatever you want to do. And then when you get back, you got to get back to your seats when I call you back. Well, the teacher actually said, run back to your seats. I took, and in the back of my head, hearing that, I'm like, should I? And then I'm like, yeah. And I ran, and the next thing I know, I'm running down the aisle to get to my seat, and I noticed right as I hit it with my foot that there was a kid with his foot out in the aisle, not to trip me, but he was turned around talking to somebody, didn't see the foot, and my face went smash into the corner of a desk.
Oof.
Cracked my tooth, and it didn't even hurt. But after I got up and I just was embarrassed, I was like, that barely ever happened. You're getting all the attention. And I remember my mouth open and somebody goes, look at his tooth. And I started bawling because I'm like, oh, shit. Because now I know my dad's going to kill me when I get home, because that's one of those, like, he was always weird about dental issues.
Yeah.
He had his own stuff being in World War II. He got his front teeth blown out and all this stuff. So I get home, had to deal with the wrath of my father, and then I went to the dentist. They worked it out, but they said you might have trouble later. Well, the trouble came like 3 years later. There was one day where all of a sudden my gum was blown up, and I didn't understand what was going on, and it kept getting bigger, and I was getting fevers and all this stuff. And then we had to go and get me looked at, and I had an abscess. There was all this issue because it was my adult tooth, but the root didn't grow properly because of having it hit and all this stuff. And when I was going through all that, I was in a lot of pain. Like, I was literally almost crying myself to sleep. I could not get away from this pain, even if I had Tylenol or whatever. And I don't know why. I remember when I was going through all that, my mom or somebody had a book that it was about the making of the Wizard of Oz. And I couldn't put that book down. Like, that was if I needed to take my mind off of it, I just had that book, and it was all about, the different casting and all this stuff. And they showed like the different costume tests. And I don't know why. It just was like mind blowing to look through this and think how the movie evolved, and we got the end product, but all the different parts. And that got me interested in movies. It got me interested in the behind the scenes of stuff. So I don't think that ever went away because of that. But that was one of the first times I had the chance to see something like that, where it was recorded and you could hear the good and the bad of all the making of this movie. So long story short, a good book.
Did it go into like all the how the Munchkins would have like orgies and stuff, and they were all like sleeping with one another?
If I remember right, it talked about how Judy Garland would say that the Munchkins would try to like go under her skirt during certain sequences. I did remember, and I remember asking my mom about that. And she's like, "Well, that's a little too old for you to read." And I'm like, "I'm in 5th grade, Mom. Like, come on."
Yeah, I heard those Munchkins were like going at it like off the set. Like they were some horn dogs. So, unlike Jesse, who when he's feeling bad likes to envision the end of the world, I've got to have something a little lighter, not as serious, not as. I just need something like wholesome and feel good. And to me, like, a lot of movies kind of fit that bill, but the main one for me is Princess Bride. I mean, starting out, you've got Fred Savage in bed, homesick from school. That's me. I'm like relating with that character. And here comes Grandpa to tell me a story. And the rest of the movie is Grandpa talking to me because I'm not feeling well and he's telling me the story. And, but I just, yes, anything wholesome like that I don't have to think too hard about. I'm not struggling with, characters that are somewhat good, somewhat bad, that there's, life-threatening circumstances and drama and controversy and, wondering if Shredder's a good guy or a bad guy. I just, it's just a good wholesome movie. Really fits the bill, and the number one for me in that category would be Princess Bride. Jesse, we are back at you.
It's not exactly the not feeling good or blue, but in college, my go-to I don't want to deal with anything was playing volleyball on the sand court between the dorms.
Interesting. Question for the other two on the podcast. When Jesse talked about playing volleyball, did you immediately picture him shirtless like in Top Gun?
No.
No. That's just you.
Okay.
No, I'm trying to picture a sand volleyball court on a college campus. I was like, so.
I just
picture a sand volleyball court, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of carved out
in the middle of like the grassy common and all that.
It was in between two dorms.
Okay.
And there was space on the side. I think there were some picnic tables on one side. So there was like, it wasn't like, you know, so we were playing out there. It was behind my dorm in between two of the other dorms that were right. Cause like there were 3 dorms on each end of campus. That would be a thing. Once the weather got nice enough and the sand was dry, we'd go out there and we would, like, a bunch of us, it wasn't just me playing by myself. Like there was, you know, other people, we would all get together and I would just skip class. I would, you know, that was just kind of my fun thing. It was the first time anybody called me Thor was on that because I apparently hit the ball too hard. I may have knocked the volleyball onto the roof once or twice.
I guess what shocks me the most about all this is that Jesse came up with a sports ball reference.
Right?
That's where I think that's where the disconnect's coming from me because he has been staunchly
it was
anti-sports balls.
No. No.
Yes.
That's okay. I can see where that comes from. I wasn't talking about going to a baseball game or a football game or a professional volleyball game. Sure. I was talking about me and people I knew just having fun playing a thing. You know, like I have nothing against, you know, throwing a football around or playing catch, but like that kind of thing. But like full on organized teams, people are getting serious about like points and stuff. Like the biggest thing we had at stake, like a couple of the guys were like, all right, whoever, you know, it was ways they would try to like pick up chicks. Like I had no game. They would just be like, all right, winners, you know, we're going to, you know, if you lose, you're taking us out for burgers. If we win, you know, so we'd go to like Burger King or something and just like hang out. It was just a stupid excuse to hang out with people. Yeah, my one roommate one year, he took it way too seriously. Nate, he would always go in. It was great. So it was like late 90s, early 2000s. he'd go in, he'd get all showered up, gel his hair up, and he'd put on his like silver and black kind of like wasn't reflective, but it was kind of like that phasey shirt that was kind of like a bowling shirt, but like it would like shift if you were like, you know, like lenticular. It was kind of like a lenticular shirt. Yeah. But yeah, just hanging out playing volleyball with people was fun. Made a couple actually friends that I've stayed friends with since because of that. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Anyone...
Just so you guys know, I did reach out to Billy Beige. I've got him working on a meme to put Jesse's head on Tom Cruise's body.
Look. I'm gonna ask you. What's that sound clip going on? Like reduce your expectations. Like you've seen me in person. I am not.
My expectations are be up here until
maybe Tom Cruise from what's that movie where he's playing like the sleazeball movie producer? Tropic Thunder. Yeah, maybe that body, you know, or you know, maybe John Goodman from The Big Lebowski. Like maybe that's what you should be picturing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am trying to find the nearest sand volleyball court near the Hanover Marriott in Whippany, New Jersey.
Dude, this was over 20 years ago. It is not happening at Legion's Con.
Oh, no, it's happening.
Have fun. I'm not going.
Travis is gonna have the hot tub party, and Jesse's gonna have the shirtless volleyball.
Travis is like take out a kiddie pool and throw an electric heater in the water at the volleyball court.
You know, Travis was a volleyball coach for like 15 years.
Oh yeah,
like that. So.
Girls volleyball though, so it doesn't.
I was gonna say not for me.
Yeah.
So he'll cut my butt while he's teaching. I mean, that's what I expect.
And we played like, like beach rule. Like we weren't playing super serious. Like I would kick the ball over the net. I dropped a freshman because I punched the ball right into his face like something out of an anime. Yeah. It was great.
Real quick before we go to Dooch, Kevin says bonfires was his thing. So,
okay.
There we go. Yeah. Jesse and Val. Very nice. Dooch, what's your next one?
Even today, he's still gonna kick my ass.
Val Kilmer, even sick and everything.
Yes. He'll be like Snake Eyes because he doesn't talk anymore.
We'll just play strip volleyball and we'll get right to the chase there.
There you go.
So, so for me, you got all great things you guys have said so far. I got to go with my favorite movie series to watch when I am sick, and that is, of course, the Back to the Future trilogy. They're just a phenomenal series of movies. Takes up a big chunk of time, and same thing. You just got great music, great acting, all those great emotional beats. Yeah, you just feel good at the end of them. Yeah. And anytime I'm sick, I can cruise through those three in no time.
Okay. Sean?
When I'm actually sick, the one thing that always it's my go-to is Gatorade.
Gatorade.
I always end up with Gatorade one way or the other. Like my mom, when I was a kid, was always electrolytes, so she'd buy like cases, and we'd be stuck with them the rest of the summer. Which I drank them anyway, wasn't that big of a deal. But it took me a while to divorce the idea of Gatorade being when you're feeling better, because half the time the Gatorade flavors were what I was tasting when I was feeling sick. So I'd always have that mental problem with it. And then as I got older, and it's just like, all right, these aren't that bad one way or the other, but it took a little time.
All right. The next one I'm going to go with is some sort of get well toy, stuffed animal, something to cuddle with to make you feel better. When I was younger, I broke my arm, had to have surgery in the hospital, stay overnight, and my mom got me this little troll doll that had like the hospital gown on. Said, get well soon. And like just having a little trinket, a little toy, something really helped. A few years back, I had a pretty bad hernia that I had to be rushed in for emergency surgery, and my wife got me this little stuffed elephant. She's always making fun of me because when I blow my nose, it's very loud, like an elephant making noise.
Same here.
So she got me this elephant whose name is Flu, which is the noise that comes out of my nose apparently when I blow my nose. So I've got Flu upstairs next to my bed, and I pretty much sleep with him almost every night. I cuddle up with it and put it under, like I've got my head on my pillow, and then I got Flu next to me. And but yeah, especially if I'm feeling bad or whatever, I cuddle up next to Flu, and it, I don't know, makes me feel better. So just as much as you may not have expected Jesse to pull out a sports ball reference, you got me with stuffed animals cuddling up. So there you go. Jesse, you got another one?
Am I going off of your thing? Like, do I have something to cuddle up with, or just I don't? I'm still trying to figure out.
No, you can say whatever you want. I mean, if you want to talk about that, you can, or you can just give out your next one.
Man,
is that a Krispy Kreme donut? Really?
Gross.
Really, bro? As I'm finishing my liquid diet, you're going to eat a Krispy Kreme donut in front of me? You son of a bitch. I've never
Just
hated you
drop
more
there.
than I do right this second.
I forgot about that. I just saw the box of Krispy Kremes. I'm like, that sounds good.
Krispy Kremes are gross.
That's true.
My wife hates them as well, but I love them.
Go ahead, Jesse.
So it's not really I guess as other things I'll go to, and I won't get too deep into specific movies, but like if I, like you were saying, watching Princess Bride, something that makes you feel good, uplifting ending, that sort of thing. Not always the same thing, but like I like movies that make me feel something, even if it's really sad.
Okay. Something to trigger some sort of emotional response.
Yeah, like if I'm feeling, it's been a lot more manageable since I started, doing therapy and the mild doses of, antidepressant that I'm on. It's not as much a drive to make that happen. So I think it's making those movies more special when I do watch them. But I would watch stuff that like when I was a kid, even though it made me bawl my eyes out, I loved Old Yeller and Benji the Hunted. Like Benji the Hunted would make me cry like a baby. That's the one, that little dog from like the 70s that, the one where he got lost in the woods and he like saves all like the wildcat kittens or the bobcat kittens or whatever.
Sometimes a good cry can really help, change things around for you. So
yes. So it's more like that now, where it's like an intentional, where as opposed to like, I'm going to put on this movie like every other, not the same movie, but I'm going to go watch this sad movie now, or I'm going to go watch this depressing thing now. But with things that stick out in that category, but also uplift me at the same time, or at least by the time it ends, movies like Coco, not your dog, Coco, and
what I don't know what that is.
Coco, the Pixar movie. But the little boy wants to be a mariachi, play music, and his family won't let him listen to music. I don't know why. I'm as white gets. There is not an ounce of Latin blood in me, I don't think, unless it came from some guy working in a soda bottle factory that got cut in a fight.
Don't worry, we can get some in you.
Incredible Hulk reference, in case nobody was picking up on it. But it's I don't know what it is about the movie. I absolutely love it, and it's about him like reconnecting with his family that's passed on and all this stuff, and the importance of family. That movie really gets me. The Greatest Showman, those are in my top 5. Those are in the top 5 of my top 13 movies. Up there with stuff like Braveheart and Gladiator and The Ghost in the Darkness, which are, big action, epic adventure movies.
Right.
So stuff like that really gets me.
I totally get that sentiment. Like if I feel like I need to get a good cry out, I just throw on Guardians 2, and I know by the end I'm going to be blubbering. So yeah, totally. Cool. Dooch?
Yeah, for me, I can throw out a ton of sitcoms. For me, it normally comes back to sitcoms. But yeah, Modern Family is a good one nowadays. Scrubs is amazing. Yeah, for me, for the most part, that was more when I was feeling homesick, but I started rewatching Smallville recently, back during the last summer when I was spending a lot of time away from home for work.
Does that hold up pretty well?
Better than I thought it would, but I'm still in like the early seasons.
Gotcha.
Before I dropped off, so yeah, for me it's all about revisiting, and I'm definitely sitcom over movie. Because of all the things we said, it's kind of all wrapping up here. It's like, because I'm dozing, I'm falling asleep, so that have these little 20-minute episodes where I can wake up and there'll be another one, but I didn't necessarily miss much.
Yeah.
That's where it's at for me. So
I've done that a lot with Seinfeld. Like it's on Netflix now, and I'll just like I
you
probably
just hit
played
play
through
all
Seinfeld
Yeah.
like through all the seasons maybe like 4 times.
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, I'll go to sleep during one episode and I'll wake up like 2 episodes later and whatever.
Yeah, and it's just good.
Did want to call out Kevin says he had pneumonia a lot as a kid, which I didn't know that. Said he watched a lot of ET. So yeah, that'd probably be a pretty good one to watch. Kind of a
like
feel
Entertainment
good.
Tonight.
I believe he's talking about the extraterrestrial. So
Don't assume though, Curtis. You know what happens when you assume.
That's true. That's true. He said he also watched Creature from the Black Lagoon every June or July. So okay.
Yeah.
Sean, you got another one for us?
So this isn't about being sick or whatever, but I used to get pretty bad anxieties on Sunday nights knowing I had to go to work the next day, and especially if it was the week of deadline week when I used to work at the old magazine I'd worked for, because that week I just flat out knew it was going to be hell until we finally hit the button to get the magazine out the door. So I got into this mode on Sunday nights where later in the evening, I was like, I really want to watch the old Universal monster movies. And I don't know what it was about those specifically that I needed to watch, but Dracula with Bela Lugosi, Frankenstein with Karloff, The Mummy, Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, like Kevin was saying.
Wolfman's got nards.
He does. I mean, in that movie in particular, dude's freaking a stalker, basically. But there was something about those that brought comfort, and then on top of that, add into the mix Arsenic and Old Lace with Cary Grant. That one I absolutely love, and Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. If you've never seen it, it is a freaking great movie. It is not made. It's like Abbott and Costello are there to be the comedy part of it, obviously, but the story really does feel like they were trying to make it legit, and just Abbott and Costello were there for the laughs. The thing is not played for jokes, though. So when I saw it the very first time, I sat there going, this is literally one of the coolest of the old school Universal monster movies. And I had no idea it was played straight with just them doing their little shtick in it from time to time.
Huh.
So I would recommend it as well if anybody never gave it a shot because they thought, oh, it's just a comedy and they're making fun of it. No, it actually really is good. And there's some great comedic moments, especially Costello at chick, and like getting scared about everything. And he has this one thing where he's locked in a stock and he can't get out. And it's like the woman who's his girlfriend is hypnotized over on the other side of the room, and Frankenstein's monster on the other. He's like, Sandra Jr. And he's like one of them to get him out of this stock, and nobody will help him. And he's like, it's played like that, but it actually works really well because the monsters are legit the monsters in those movies. They're not doing it where the monsters are just being stupid or whatever, which is great.
Yeah, I had never heard of that. That's interesting. I'll have to check that out. I know Three Stooges did some like that, some episodes where there was a legit scary, some sort of monster, but then they were doing their thing throughout it, and I really enjoyed those. So I might have to check that one out. The last big one for me, I know you guys were talking about like chicken noodle soup and stuff. Like when it comes to like comfort food, the big one for me, my mom makes this dish, pasta fazool, which is like beans and macaroni soup, and it is like my absolute favorite thing in the whole world. It's my favorite meal ever, and like I think from sometime in probably my mid 20s or 30s, I told her like, because she was like still giving me like a birthday card with money each year and stuff, and I'm like, listen, you don't need to give me a birthday card, because really, number one, I hate cards. I feel every time somebody gives me a card, I open it up and I'm like, okay, now how long do I have to keep this? Like, what? It's like you gave me an obligation to keep this for a certain amount of time, and I don't know So number one, I don't need a card and I don't need money. I'm like, just make me pasta fazool every year for my birthday. And so she's done that. Like every year for my birthday, she makes me pasta fazool and, throw a bunch of Parmesan cheese on that. And that, man, if I'm feeling any sort of type of way, I have that pasta fazool for my mom. And it's just like, this is it, man. This is, just like it. First of all, it's served really hot so that the Parmesan cheese, even though you're putting the powdered cheese on there, it melts and gets stringy and all this kind of stuff. So when you eat it, it like warms up your chest and kind of warms you from the inside out. But then you feel the love of your mom making this for you, and it's just like a whole like, yeah, this is it. Everything's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be all right. So
you saw Superman 2 growing up, right?
Yeah.
So there's that sequence, and I don't know if it was specific to like the ABC Sunday night movie version or if it was the legit version in the theaters, but the part where Lex Luthor and Otis are trying to break out of prison and Miss Tessmacher is there and she's in the balloon and all that, and I remember Lex Luthor saying, "We need to get the little box in our cell. You're making a little box in our cell," and he gets all excited.
Yeah.
Shut up. He's like, I suppose if I told you I made pasta fazool, you'd be more excited. He's like, oh, with garlic sauce, Mr. Luthor, and that butter. And ever since then, every time I hear that, which is very, very random like this, all I can see is Gene Hackman and Ned Beatty in my head talking about that.
That's awesome.
That's a good scene.
All I know is I know what I'm getting Curtis for his birthday this year. So.
There you go. Just
Parmesan cheese.
Dude, I go through so much Parmesan cheese when I have that, man. Like,
oh no, I'm sending him a bunch of cards that he has to hold on to.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's funny. Hold on. Well, I'll be right back. You guys talk amongst yourself. I'll be right back.
Yep.
Oh, thank God he's gone.
All right, I'm gonna throw another movie one out since.
All right, what you got?
So I'll come back to something else in a minute, but this one it's my kind of breaking in my new domicile movie. So as soon as whenever I move and I move into a new place, once I get my TV and the Blu-ray player or whatever set up, the first thing I watch once I'm to a point where I feel like I can sit down and relax is Lake Placid.
I've never watched that.
With
is that the
Brendan
crocodile
Gleeson.
one?
Yeah. Brendan Gleeson, Betty White, Oliver Platt.
Fucking Betty White is great in that. Her role is awesome.
She has the best swear conjugations I have ever heard in my life in that movie. The girl from the Journey of Maddie Gans in it.
Role, in my opinion.
Oh,
like
yeah,
everything
totally.
she did. Yeah.
But like Brendan Gleeson, like the fact that like he's dealing with all these people are being like it's a horror movie. It's a horror movie, but it's not like so cheesy, Sharknado cheesy, but like
more like Jaws.
They know what lane they're in. Like they know they're not making award-winning material, but like they're taking it as serious as they need to for the movie.
Yeah.
Like everybody's being sarcastic to Brendan Gleeson's character. So like watching this Irish guy trying to play like a state of Maine, like, game preserve officer is just great. And there's just some of the best lines in that movie. And it's weird. It's not like the best movie, but for some reason that has just, ever since I moved out of the dorms into my first apartment in college, which is probably around the time I got the DVD. I think that was when we just put in the apartment to just kind of test out the system. And I might have just recently gotten it or whatever. So that just became a thing. Every time I moved, once it was set up, that's what I put on. So I've been in this place for 10 years. So it's been it's been 10 years since I watched it. So I need to watch that again.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that as a move-in movie, but
it just became a thing.
Okay, so real quick before we move on, I just wanted to show you guys this when it came to talking about cards. So my kids, I had my surgery a couple weeks ago, and I come home, my kids gave me a card, which they know that I hate cards.
Son of a
yeah. So the card, it originally said, "Sorry for your loss." and I don't know if you can see there, but they crossed out sorry and put congratulations, and then put for your weight loss.
I love it.
So they took a sorry for your loss card and made it congratulations for your weight loss. And then they wrote this like really heartwarming message inside, and they all signed it. And then at the very bottom, they wrote, "You can throw me away now." And,
So that's the one you're going to keep.
and I've kept it for 2 weeks. My wife just made fun of me earlier. It's like every other card you get, you throw away immediately. You get the one that says you can throw it away, and you keep it. So,
I
yeah,
love
there
it.
you
And
go.
that's that you're like, well, now I don't want to.
yeah, you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I'll say this about cards. My buddy John, who works at the comic shop, he loves writing cards. Like he'll send postcards out at Halloween. They're really cool. Like he'll put out a post saying like, "Hey, who wants a Halloween card for me this year?" Whenever he comes over, I usually get like a postcard at work from him saying like, "Hey, thank you for opening up your home." Like it's way over the top for like, "Hey, come over and watch a movie."
Right.
Like, like Sean will come over, I'll go over to his house. We're like, "Cool, all right, see you later," and then we like. We'll chat, but like we won't see each other for 2. But there's not this whole big production.
Yeah.
And I'd consider John on par as friends as you guys, but it's just the way he is. But I don't know. I think he said he didn't know who else he could give them to. But he'll give me these postcards sometimes. It's like a basket of puppies or like cute baby animals, and it says like the orphanage you came in just burnt down, or like just horrible things. Like I don't want to say them out loud because I don't want anybody to think I'm making fun of them, but like they make me laugh so hard because it's coming from him to me. It's just one of those things that it's like, this is so wrong, but I love it. It just cracked me up.
That's funny.
Alexander, welcome.
Well, we've been at this for a little bit. I don't know if you guys want to throw out any other ones that you think are significant enough that we want to kind of close out this conversation. Dude, Sean.
The only last thing I'm curious about, and Jesse just made me think about it, is you always see like the sick guy on the movie or TV show or whatever, and like a bunch of people come visit him to help him feel better. What do you guys feel about that? Because to me, whenever I'm not feeling well, I want to be left alone. Like drop off some pasta fazool, great. But no, I don't want visitors. I don't want to talk. I just want to wallow in my own self-pity, type of thing. So I'm just curious, are you guys like wanting to be social when you're down, or are you like me where you're just like, nope, everybody leave me alone. I'm just going to go curl up here in the corner.
For me, I'm mostly like that, but I want my wife nearby at all times. Like when I was in the hospital for my surgery, I had to stay the night of the hospital. I was like, hey, can you just stay the night? Like if they let you stay in the hospital, can you stay with me? And she wanted to anyways, because she doesn't like driving back and forth by herself, to and from the hospital. So it kind of worked out that she wanted to anyways. But yeah, I always like having my wife near. But like even my kids were like, hey, do you want us to come up and visit you and stuff? And I'm like, no, that's all right. Like you said, I got to, I'm going to be weak condition. I'm going to have, I don't need other people seeing me like that. And it doesn't do any good. If you want to text me or call me or whatever, that's fine. But otherwise, yeah, unless you're my wife, yeah, stay away.
Yeah, so even my wife's the same way. She'll be like, just leave me alone. I don't feel well. I'm like, all right, great.
Yeah. What about you guys, Jesse, Sean?
I'm not saying this for sympathy. We're like, oh, woe is you. Not that I think you guys are doing this, but like, I'm so used to not having anyone around that the idea of someone, like, I don't really know how to process someone being around me when I'm sick. I guess at one point I had mono, and that was a weird situation. But that, like,
isn't that
when I'm sick? It can be, but I didn't get it the fun way. I got it from.
I didn't get it the fun way.
You can also get it from exhaustion, lack of sleep, dehydration, whatever. That's how I got it, because I was working stupid hours in the heat. Anyway, long story, dumb story. Like, So I don't like when I went on a mission trip when I was 12 or 13 to the Dominican Republic. And I'll keep this real short. I got
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say pink eye, Alexander. Good Lord.
Oh, you're gonna make me pop a stitch.
Gray gets all weird places. There's
So
normal places.
I went on this trip. Okay, I was in
Yeah.
a foreign country. Leave it at that. I was young. When I was there,
We've all been there.
I got tonsillitis. Like apparently, I got tonsillitis before I went, but it like showed up a couple of days into the trip.
Okay.
They left, like I said, I was like 12 or 13. They left me alone in the hotel. And this wasn't like, like the hotel we stay at Legion's Con last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like a third world country of hotel.
Yeah, and I'm not putting anybody down. Like it was nice, but it wasn't like whatever. So they're at like 12. They leave me alone in a foreign country, no cell phones. If there was a TV, which I don't think there was in my room, it was in Spanish. I didn't understand it. Like there was, and I'm like hallucinating. I'm pretty sure at one point there was like mice crawling under the sheets with me, whatever. Greg, I would say it was less scary than the one we almost stayed at PowerCon, but maybe similar overall quality. It was just in tropical location. So when I, like I said, when I was a kid, if both my parents worked, whether it was my mom and dad or my mom and stepdad, so like I pretty much just took care of like they might pick me up from school and like make sure like, all right, here's this. But it was kind of like figure it out on your own kind of thing. Or you're sick, so you should be in bed. So just stay in bed. Then we don't have to worry about anything. So I don't know how I would be if someone. I think when I was sick after Legion's Con, Sean texted me. He was like, "Hey, do you need anything?" Like you're a day or two into it, and I think I said something like I wouldn't say no to a Dr. Pepper or something. And like within an hour, he came by with like a bottle of Dr. Pepper. There's far worse things to be called than a Disney princess. I'll take it.
I love it.
But yeah, so I don't know. I think having someone, unless there's to the point where I physically couldn't get out of bed and like make soup for myself. Like when I had a but when I had my gallbladder, I stayed with a friend and their parents, and like that was nice, but like they kind of left me alone. They'd every now and then be like, "Hey, do you need anything?" So that was nice, but yeah.
All right, Sean, what about you? Left alone, or you want people around you?
Oh, I want to be left the hell alone. Don't like even messaging wise, I wouldn't be into any of that and stuff. I just like the going off of what Jesse was saying, like for me, probably the worst thing that ever happened was it was probably between 5th and 6th grade, if I remember right, that entire summer I had chickenpox. I never had it when I was a kid. I got it later on, and it was just like boom. When I got it, I was done. The worst part about that was also the same summer as Batman Returns. And I really wanted to see that because I loved the first Batman. So it was like I kept going, well, how long is this going to take to get done with? I want to go see this movie. And it was driving me crazy and stuff. But at the same time, like, leave me the hell alone. And then on top of that, don't even scratch yourself and all that. It was like, oh. I still want a refund for that summer. I lost literally about almost 2 months of that summer to the freaking chickenpox. Fuck you, chickenpox. And then I went and saw Batman Returns, and I sat there going, what the fuck happened here?
Yeah, I would have been 14 that summer, and I was a huge fan of Batman at the time. Loved the first movie. So Batman Returns came out, and Michelle Pfeiffer was about all that my 14-year-old body could handle. Like I was,
I'll
hey,
give
man,
I'll give you the Michelle Pfeiffer, absolutely. But I remember sitting there watching that, going, "I'm literally watching a funeral with penguins at the end of this movie."
Yeah.
Because I'm like, "What is?" And I heard somebody before I got to see the movie. There was a DJ on the radio saying Batman wusses out and rips his mask off at the end. So I already knew, and that was before spoilers were a huge thing like they are now.
Yeah.
So I knew there was something going to happen at the end where he rips his mask off, and I'm like, thanks so much. Here I am with all these chicken pox marks, and I was not expecting this guy to be talking about spoilers of Batman Returns that summer. So yeah, leave it alone, leave me out of it, and just let me rest. And
don't talk about movie spoilers.
Don't talk about movies when I'm in it. I mean, like out of all the summers, I think the only one that would have been worse would have probably been 89, because of all the goodness that 89 brought us with Batman, Indy, and Ghostbusters 2 and all that stuff. So
that's a good one.
Yeah.
One last thing I did forget to say for my list was a scented candle. For some reason, if I'm feeling kind of bad or whatever, a nice scented candle, like you put a blueberry muffin candle, or I don't know, a butterscotch something, anything with like the baked goods. I love the baked goods smells. So for those of you keeping it up at home, I want my blankie, a stuffed animal to cuddle with, something from my mommy, and a scented candle. So
and lots of cards.
Yeah.
So do you float through the air when you smell this delicious pie?
No, but I do. I just love the smell of a candle throughout the house. Like it just, I don't know. And then also, especially if it's like really cold in the house, like I'll like go up to the candle, like put my hands over and just kind of warm up my hands over the candle.
You're huffing it? What?
like over the candle, and like warming up my hands and stuff.
You got a hobo
Feeling the
fire?
warmth off the candle. Yeah.
Get like a steel trash can and some newspaper, just like
Yeah, it's kind of like Kevin's his bonfire, but in a very small scale. So, no, definitely not the Gwyneth Paltrow candle. That's not the scent that I need flowing through the house.
Sandalwood. Kevin is a man's man.
What's the Gwyneth Paltrow candle?
She made a candle that apparently smells like her vajayjay.
Yeah.
So
look it up.
Yeah,
it's real.
So yeah.
Guess what movie I'm watching tomorrow, guys? Day after tomorrow.
There you go.
I got a can of chicken soup in the kitchen. That's what freaking celebrities, man.
Gotta love them.
Curtis,
any other Booch? This was your topic. Any other closing thoughts on the must-haves for comfort?
No, I think we've hit it all for me personally. It's just one of those interesting things because, especially with the way I am, leave me alone. Like it's something you don't talk about, and so it's interesting to see how we're each kind of the same in our own way, and then different as well. So yeah, it was a fun little talk.
I wasn't sure. I thought we would maybe get a 5-minute discussion out of that topic, and it turned into like an hour and a half. So that was pretty good.
Great.
Next, we've got Have You Ever?
Have you ever?
And on deck is the Book of Three.
The Book of Three by Lloyd Alexander. I always think I'm saying it backwards.
Look at that. Jesse's got the physical book.
So do
I. Yeah, well, I figured you did, but yeah, this is a Have You Ever, but Jesse's like, nope, got it.
Well, that's the funny thing because it was my Have You Ever, but the reason I picked it up was because Jesse has always talked to me about how great this series is. So I knew that Jesse kind of got cut off there. He's losing battery after PowerCon, but I knew Jesse had read it. He's the one who recommended it to me, and then I threw it out to you guys. So
well, I guess who wants to start? I mean, Jesse already knew this, I'm guessing, and Dooch knew it. Sean, was this new to you, or did you already know of this?
I knew of it through Jesse talking about it, and I saw the Black Cauldron when I was really little, when that was in the theaters as a kid. but he's always been like, no, that's not the legit way. This book series is the way that it's supposed to be. Like, it only takes bits and pieces and makes its own story versus how the books went. And so I've always heard about it that way.
But you've never loved Jesse enough to check it out.
So did you check it out during this?
Don't do that. Don't do
2-week
that.
period?
Okay, so here's the thing. I will admit fully, I did not get a book. I tried doing the YouTube videos of people reading it.
Okay.
Because I like, if I try to sit down and read, I will fall asleep because all I do is either work or the kids or whatever. And then if I get my time to myself, I'm out usually. So I did try to play it. I got halfway through the video, so I am not even remotely able to talk too much about this. I did the best I could, but I was trying to pay attention to it versus having it on in the background, and I'm not paying attention.
Yeah.
So I got, I think, 2 hours into the video over the last 2 weeks versus the 5 hours it was, or 5.5, I think it was. So that's my honest thing. So I really don't have a leg to stand on in this, I guess.
Okay.
That's okay. You tried.
Just out of curiosity, there, how do you remember how far, like story wise, like what was happening?
They're trying to get out of the prison. They're trying to get out of their cell. They just met the.
Stopped at a good point.
Well, that was as far as I got as of like 6 o'clock tonight. Before all of a sudden my family's like, "We want food," and we got it, and then the next thing you know, I'm running all over the place.
So
but
you still got a bit. You got a good chunk into it.
I'm about halfway through that video.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, about 2 hours, 2.5 hours into it. So yeah.
And then Curtis, I know that you have never read in your life, as far as I know. So
That's not true. You missed the beginning of the show. He read The Last Ronin.
Yeah, I've been reading some graphic novels.
Well, I'm talking books. Like this is
I've read the first 2 of 3 because the third one's not out yet, of the King Killer Chronicles. I have enjoyed reading a lot of mythology. I've read the Iliad and the Odyssey, a bunch of tales of mythology. I've enjoyed, but I'm not a huge book reader. That is for sure. And this is not anything that I was aware of that even existed before this. So,
were you aware of the movie at least?
I had never even heard of the movie. No,
really?
Which I've not seen the movie, and I want to go and watch the movie, even though I hear it's a huge departure from the books. So,
right, it's a good movie, but yes, reading this first book here. Yeah, it's not even.
So, like, do you and Jesse want to talk about it first, or you want my?
Well, I want you to go.
Okay.
Did you read/listen to it, and did you make it through? That's what I want to know first.
Here's the thing. This is what I have to say. Before I get into it, just everybody know. Obviously, I'm not a huge reader. I am a very visual person, and for the most part, I need to at least have an idea of who these characters are, what's going on. That's why I like whether it's graphic novels. I prefer watching movies, and even in those settings, like I'll give you an example. I see Matt Rodriguez is in the chat. He's got his Defenders of Eden comic book. He did a little excerpt guide thing that has little bios of each of the characters or the main characters in his comic book. Those kind of things help me a lot. Like I think if I had that with this, it would have really helped me going in, because I start going in and I'm reading and you've got these characters interacting, and then I'm trying to keep straight who's what and what they're doing and what their role is, and it's very difficult for me to get a clear idea of who each character is. So I tried reading it first. Did not work. Then I tried listening to the audiobook. I checked out my local library. They have it as an audiobook. I don't for some reason only one person can check it out at a time, which I don't get. Like if it's an audiobook and the library has it, like why can't unlimited people, whatever. I don't get that whole thing. But anyway, so I checked it out from the library and I'm listening to the audiobook. And once again, like they start going through and they're talking about some of these people and stuff, and I don't know who's who, what's going on. It was very confusing for me. So then I switched to some YouTube videos of people like talking about it, either reading through it or kind of breaking it down. And I watched several of these videos. And so, you know, I definitely watched, I would say, you know, the 5 hours that it takes to read the book. I watched that much or more of people kind of talking about the story and going through it. And so here's my take without having actually read the whole thing or listened to the actual whole thing, but getting the gist of it. I feel like they did a good job of building this world. It's a very good world building book. Very much in the lines of like a Lord of the Rings type of thing. Like they're building out the world. The characters themselves, I don't think they did a great job of. I think there's a lot of black and white. You're good or bad. Like the main hero prince guy is like, you know, this shining knight prince. Everything's like he's perfect, and he's like it felt like, and you know, he's coming to the rescue, and it just felt too perfect. And then, you know, it just felt like a lot of the characters weren't really developed well. From the time that they, you know, get out of the prison and they kind of go about their way to find this pig, which is like such a weird fucking thing that you're trying to find this like fortune telling pig or whatever. I'm like, what the fuck is this even going on? It's just it gets weird, and then they get chased down by the big bad, who sounds like fucking awesome. Like they build this guy to the what's it, the something king,
Horn King.
Horn King. Yep. They build this guy up to be this fucking badass, and like you're just scared of this guy, and you're worried about what he's gonna do, all this and that, and then they get rid of him by finding his name, and it's like that's how this is gonna fucking end. Like you're gonna find this dude's name and that's it. Like, and I understand this is one book of the story. There's like 5 books or whatever, so it's not like it's over. And there are other big bads that are even above him, but it just felt like they built up this really cool bad guy and this really cool army, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, here's your name, and now he's gone, and everybody else just kind of scrambles and goes, you know, runs off. And it's like, I don't know, just for you know, from somebody that hasn't experienced this before, I think it was very difficult for me to get into it reading. I think part of that is just that I don't read a lot. Part of it is it starts out very fucking slow. And then from there, I think it's just a good world that they started to build. I've heard that the other books in the series are much better than this one. So I would say that it's something I would maybe explore checking out the other books, but this just wasn't for me. I really try my best with these Have You Evers to really dive into it and even watch movies in another language that I don't really know what's going on, and 6-7 movies about dance. But this is one that I just couldn't really get into. I see what they're doing and I appreciate it. And I know there's people that love this series and even in our world of customizing and stuff, do like customs of characters from this series. So I understand it's a very beloved property, but for me, this just wasn't for me. So.
Yeah, so for me, this was actually my first time reading the book. I was reading through it when I mentioned to you guys, and I finished it this week. And I absolutely loved it. But I can definitely see all the points you're saying, because the biggest thing about it is it did feel at the end of it felt like a setup for the Chronicles, for the full story, I like these kind of stories where they don't just give you everything right off the bat. I like it where there's speculation, where you're unsure of what's going on. Like that's that's the kind of storytelling I appreciate. And so, like, for that matter, it really worked for me. And I almost wonder, honestly, Curtis, and I'll say again, like the Black Cauldron movie, uh, definitely, like you can see what they pulled from here, and I'm assuming from the other books, but it's definitely its own story. But I almost wonder if that would have helped you having seen that. So then at least you have, granted, there's some characters missing out of there completely, but maybe that would have at least given you, because you meet Taryn, you meet Floofer, you meet Gurgi, you know, Ellenwe are all in there. So maybe that's something where that would help you. At least there you have like a visual.
Yeah, I think that would have definitely helped me a lot. And just one more note, one thing that I was going to mention too, because I did compare this so much to, as far as the world building of it, I compared it a lot to Lord of the Rings in my head, even though I know this was directed towards more of a childlike audience than Lord of the Rings. But one thing that I did want to make mention of too, like when I was watching through the Lord of the Rings series, because I never read those books, the first movie, The Fellowship of the Ring, where they're like forming the world and telling the story and putting the characters together, is my least favorite. Like that whole slow, like I want the meat, I want the potatoes. Like I understand that you got to do all this other stuff to set it up. I think that if the challenge of the Have You Ever was to start with the second book, probably would have been a much different experience for me. But or if I had seen the movie, like you said, but that just wanted to throw that out there. So
and as soon as I finished, I did have to go out and get the second book, which I have not started yet. But the second book is titled The Black Cauldron. So, and I'll throw it over to Jesse because I know this has been a near and dear part of his life.
Hi, my name is Jesse Arnold. Welcome to my TED Talk.
Thank you, Jesse.
So this whole thing started in 5th grade. We would, in 5th grade, what was it? Reading and math class, we would switch classrooms. Like we had our main class that we were at all day. And then for reading and math class, we would switch and be in there with different kids from different classrooms. And every now and then in math class, we would get downtime or we'd catch up on work or whatever, and we could do whatever. And I found, not this copy, but I got this copy during shutdown. They had the Black Cauldron comic book based off of the Disney movie.
Okay.
Because to that point, I missed the movie in the theater. And at that point in time, I didn't know it didn't come out on VHS. So every time I'd go spend the weekend at my dad's house, we'd go to whatever video store and I'd ask for the Black Cauldron. And they would look at me like, I imagine like the people at the comic shop were looking at you a couple weeks ago, Curtis. Like,
I have no idea what you're talking about. And they're like, we don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I'm like, how do you not? It's a Disney movie. It just came out like 2 years ago. How do you not know what? Like everybody who works in movies should know what every Disney animated movie is.
Right.
Oh, see, until you just said that, I didn't know that the movie was animated. I knew it was by Disney.
Yes,
but I thought it was
a
live
Disney
action.
Animated. Okay. And at the time it came out, it was, I don't want to say it was the only one, but it didn't have songs. It wasn't like a musical. It has a much darker tone. Now, I eventually saw the movie in college, but I'll come back to that. So I read this comic, and I remember Sean hanging out on the bus because our bus from our school was in 4th and 5th grade. We'd have to take a bus back to where like kindergarten through 3rd grade was. Yeah. We'd get those Scholastic, book fair order things, right? Those like newspaper things.
Oh yeah.
And I saw this cover, but on a book. I'm like, oh, there's a book version. I'm gonna get that. I like to read. So I got it. And the comic is the adaptation of the movie. When I started reading the book, so this is like 5th grade, I got to a certain point in the Black Cauldron, which is the second book in the series.
Mm-hmm.
It scared the shit out of me. Like to the point where like I didn't want to go to sleep. Now, we've already established on the show I was very sensitive and very easily frightened by stuff. So like it's probably not as bad as I thought it was. But at the time, it took me a couple of years before I worked the nerve to get back and read it. Yeah. So I read it, and then I was like, oh, it's only the second book. And I found the other ones, but I could never find the book of 3. So I'd read the Black Cauldron, the Castle of Lear, Terran
so you read it in a different order.
Yeah, I did. I'll come back. Like, I'm not that's why I'm not reacting strongly to your reaction to it, because I get it. And it wasn't until after I had read all that I eventually, I think in high school, finally found the Book of Three, and read that. So for a long time, I would read through this whole series every year. I absolutely, now the Book of Three, going into it, I already had, even reading the Black Cauldron book, when I got through that, I had the visual representation of the characters from the animated movie and the comic book. I hadn't seen the movie yet, to base my idea of what these characters looked like. And point of fact, Matt, it is Fluter, not Floofer, even though it is F's. The double F is a hard sound.
Correct.
So it's all based on versions of like Welsh mythology and stuff. And in some stories, the big bad guy, Aran, the guy who was above the Horn King, is seen as he is Lord of the underworld and darkness and everything, but he's more of a positive character. In some, depending on, that's probably something we could talk to Hondax about, being Welsh and everything. But anyway, so yeah, I totally get what you're saying, Curtis. If he does not do a lot of visual descriptions of the characters. Like it's very basic. So if you're doing it and you don't have the book cover, or you're not familiar with the cartoon, he does not build. And I think that was an intentional thing to let the reader, because this was written for children, I think to allow them to kind of read themselves into it. I think that was an intentional thing for younger readers to be able to do that.
Can I just interject something real quick? Yeah. For me, having that image in my head allows me to anchor all of the details that relate to that character in the story to that image in my brain. So if I know what that character looks like, and then I hear, okay, the character's doing X, Y, and Z, I can put that all those actions are associated with this character. And then this other character is doing, A, B, and C, and I can associate with those. But not having any sort of image in my head makes it very difficult for me to segregate the actions and different things that are going on in the story. So, but that's my own personal issue.
No, I totally understand that, because even once I read through the books, I realized the way Disney decided to animate most of the characters is wrong.
Yeah.
Like, Fluter is not an old man. He's maybe in his 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And he's depicted as like kind of like that, the classic Disney jolly kind of older shopkeeper guy with a pot belly.
Yeah, the eccentric uncle,
Yeah.
Well, I did, one of the things that I was listening to said the ones that they, I guess in the movie, they've got them as like fairies, but really they're supposed to be like dwarves.
So they're called the fair folk, and that's where fairies part of the idea of fairies come from. So yeah, he's definitely more of a smaller version of Gimli. Yeah. He's grumpy and he's Grimly. He's grumpy Gimli.
Gotcha.
But his name's Dolly, and
they were a lot of fun in the book.
They're great. Yeah, and you're talking about the character. Not trying to convince you to read the rest of them or listen to the books from, but like the first one is almost like the first seasons of Rebels, where it's kind of like, here are these characters, and then the rest of the series is all about, because it's the whole hero's journey of Taran growing up and him, coming from this assistant pig keeper into who he becomes by the end of the series. And Gwydion, he does the prince guy you're talking about. He has this very like Strider Ranger vibe to him when you first meet him. And I think this is, again, kind of a more idealized fantasy world. And, but yeah, anyway, it's my favorite series. It is my favorite books of all time.
So real quickly, I want to touch on the fact that you read the books out of order and you read those. So what was your thought on this particular book after you had read all the other ones and you got to this later on? Like, what was your initial thoughts on this?
When I got to this one, as I read through the book, I was like, oh, this is where most of the plot of the Black Cauldron movie came from. They just worked the cauldron aspect into the story. Like the whole thing with Henwen, the pig running away, Like I don't even think they bring in Gwydion into the animated one.
Nope, they leave him out completely, and they don't.
It's
They
just
don't. Yeah.
yeah.
They cut a lot of
They
characters
merge the Horned King into Iran the Death Lord. They make him the same person. So instead of this big badass warrior on a horse, he's this shriveled old guy in a hood with antlers coming out of his hood.
Yeah, gotcha.
And when I read the book, and then I was like, because I read the Black Cauldron, I'm like, oh, the Horned King's already defeated. Like I thought, what? I was like, okay, they just called this other guy who's kind of like the Sauron of that world. They called him. I was like, that okay. But what they do in the second one really, the Black Cauldron, I won't spoil it for Matt, but they get to some really deep emotional things in that book. Way more challenging and harder, I think, emotional for characters. So coming into this one after reading it all, it was kind of like going through the Harry Potter books and then going back and reading the first one, which is a little more playful. It's a little more fun. Mm-hmm. Oh no, what just fell over? My paints. Did I put the book back in the fridge?
Black Cauldron, one that scared you.
Oh.
Did you have to
Why would I put it in the fridge?
It's from Friends. Joey, when he got scared, would put the book in the freezer when he was reading.
I don't get. Thank you, Sean.
Yep.
I don't get Friends references very well. So yes, it was definitely
you
weird.
Wouldn't put this particular book on the same level as the other ones later on, but as a part of the series, does play an important part.
I do, because I feel like if you went into sorry, Sean, for triggering you here. If you went into Batman v Superman without knowing anything at all about who Batman and Superman are,
which is the only way to go into that movie, but
that movie makes no sense. Like, you don't understand. Like, maybe you'd appreciate that movie better, but like, I don't know, or maybe that wasn't a good example. Sorry, Sean.
No, it's laying the groundwork for this.
I feel like
story.
Okay, so you were saying Two Towers. If you start off with Two Towers, the Fellowship is already split.
Yeah,
you have no idea who these four little dudes are. So like, without that setup, granted, I totally understand. The first half of the Fellowship book was painful because they don't leave the Shire until almost halfway through the first book.
Yep.
So all the
I get it. You have to
parts
set
of
this
that
stuff
movie,
up, and that's not the fun part. I get that.
Yeah. So I feel like without that book, there were some like, I missed how Taryn and Eilon, we met each other. I missed I knew how they met in the cartoon, but you miss like them meeting Gurgi and like the whole significance of Henwen and his relations to Dalbin and Cole.
Yep.
The blacksmith that's working on their little, and their little outpost or whatever, Caer Dalbin. It just hit in a certain way. So it's kind of the same thing. Like, I watched the Firefly. I saw Serenity, the movie, before I saw Firefly, the TV show. So like, I knew how it ended. So going back and watching the show, it's like, I know where this is going, but I really appreciated how the build up to get there. So granted, understanding with this book, I totally understand what you're saying. And I'm beyond thrilled that you and Sean both attempted to listen to get engaged with it in some part. So I'll leave it at that and let Sean rejoin the conversation.
I mean, for me, I did see the movie when I was a kid, so I had markers for some of the character. Like Taryn was very, he came right back to me in my head of, like probably like a 12-year-old kid or a little bit older than that, and it like I was playing it out in my head as I was listening to it, kind of like, okay, I remember this, I remember that, and all that. And yeah, I mean, for me, the one thing about it that I know from an audio perspective, hearing it, is the names in it drove me nuts to hear repetitively, because like, so the name of the place that Taryn's from, or the name of the night that I was like, I'm so excited. I like, when I hear Gwydion, all I wanted to hear was Gideon. And I'm like, why aren't you saying it right? Just freaking say it right. And it was like nails on a chalkboard hearing some of the names after a certain point because they are so of that world. And it's words that letters I wouldn't put together to make a name except for Terran maybe. I actually hit that name's cool. The rest of them drove me crazy. And then when I'm having to listen to it on top of that instead of read it, it was like, oh God, do I got to hear this every time you read a sentence at this point? But, no, like when I had to stop it, which again, it was right before my family had dinner, so I had to stop it, and then we were going to do the show anyway. It was getting to a point where I'm like, well, sure, now I'm getting into it. Now I got to shut it down. So that was annoying. And I do plan to go back to it because I would like to see, I would like to at least find out how it ends. I mean, I know we talked about a little bit, but that didn't spoil it enough for me to say, oh, I'm going to just drop it like a hot potato or whatever. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think that was a really good way of explaining it. It is the first Harry Potter book, setting up the world. It's a little more playful, the way that Jesse was talking and Curtis were talking. I think that's true. And to be completely honest, in a lot of cases, I'm opposite of Curtis. Curtis wants the meat and potatoes. I'm usually the one that really loves getting into the world first.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that, like, I went to see Fellowship in the movie theater like 4 times because I could not get over how well that world was established in front of my eyes on the big screen. I couldn't get over the amount of details that you see, all of the stuff with the elves, with the dwarves. It was mesmerizing to me. The amount of painstaking detail was in there to make me believe I'm literally watching this world. I'm not even taken out of this movie. Whereas in the other 2, I could have gotten taken out of them if I didn't get into that first one. And so I guess it all depends on your preferences and your likes. But this wasn't a bad one. Like I said, just audio-wise, it was not working for me on that level. But if I would sit down and read it, I might not even have that trouble and just get to the end of it faster. So,
and I'll say this, Curse, the way you describe like the end with the confrontation with the Horde King, like, yeah, like as far as fights go, that is terribly anticlimactic. But there's an interesting thing I think that they do is they deal with like the biggest physical threat in this book, and because it's kids, literal children, like what they go through in the next stories, there are a lot of physical things, but their enemies aren't necessarily physical things they have to fight. Not that there isn't fighting and that sort of stuff in it, but I just think that was an interesting way to deal with the monster under your bed, the big bad creature that, because it immediately made me think of like Rumpelstiltskin, once you got that name, and I like that it just didn't set up Terran to be like the whole chosen one. He wasn't like the perfect, he wasn't Harry Potter. He's not the one destined to bring balance to the Force. He's just a pig keeper who stumbled, and that gave me again, I'm not trying to change your mind, but that's just one of the things I liked about it. It's the Peter Parker of it all. It's the kind of everyman aspect of it.
And Terran realizing, he's idolized the idea of war and princes and everything else, and it's coming to the realities of like, oh, it's not all white horses and flaming swords. Well, it's actually,
because like he doesn't believe Gwydion at first. Like, there's no way you're a prince.
Like, you're too ugly to be a prince.
You're
like
dirty.
Like, so
the only other thing I wanted to mention too, like I heard that I heard somewhere that the original title of the book was like Battle of the Trees or something, which I think would have been a much better title for this, because like the fighting does happen like in the forest and stuff, whereas the Book of 3 really has very little importance whatsoever to the actual story, in my opinion. So
okay,
but yeah,
I did see that is tied into the Welsh mythology and Gwydion and like stuff from Welsh mythology.
Yeah, the actual Welsh folklore is the Battle of the Trees.
Yeah,
where he pulls some of his stuff from. Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, Taryn definitely sounded like the most interesting character in the story. And well, with the exception of, I thought the Horn King sounded amazing until he's thwarted stupidly. But yeah, it sounded like a really awesome character until then. So, any other thoughts on that before we go into the next Have You Ever? I do have something else I need to pull up here real quick, but any other thoughts on Book of 3?
I have one more that's a shameless self-promotion.
Sure.
I sent the collection to my mom a year or two ago. Like it was either during or after quarantine and everything. I just shipped it to her from Amazon because she had never read it, and she usually, as a kid, she would always read the stuff I was into, and somehow we just didn't connect on this one, so she never got to read them. Probably because I didn't have them. I just checked them out at the library, or whatever. She read through. She's a fast reader. I think she read through the whole series in less than a week. Because I mean, she's retired. But even then, anyway, she just finished my book this week. She read the raw, unedited, rough draft, and of course, there's a part of me that feels like, oh, this is just the mom praise coming out. But she said she liked it better than that whole series and all this stuff. So
wow.
Which I was like, come on, mom, like that. And she's like, no. And I'm not just saying this just because I'm your mom. She's like, you know how much stuff I read, blah, 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 blah. So that made me feel really good this week. So stay tuned next year. I was supposed to do it this year, but customs and lots of other stuff have taken over. But next year.
Speaking of which, because Jesse's not going to promote it, he does have a Patreon available. If anybody is interested, definitely support his Patreon. He's got some big Patreon supporters, but he could always use more. So you want to tell them where they can hit you up for that, Jesse?
Just Shelve It on Patreon. I think that's just what it is. Yeah, Just Shelve It. Look up Just Shelve It on Patreon. You'll see my pink meep rabbit in the green and all that stuff. If you want to, I got to do something on that soon. It's been a while since I posted something over there, but
and the cool people are at the $10 tier, correct?
Yeah.
No, anybody that's on that page is cool.
Gotcha. You're cooler if you give 10.
Gotcha.
Nope.
Okay.
Yes.
Nope.
Be like
the views of Jesse Arnold do not necessarily represent the views of Jesse Arnold.
Speaking of Jesse Arnold, I do have something I want to pull up, but
is it what I think it is?
It's not going to let me. I'm going to have to do some work here. So, while I work on that, who is the next Have You Ever after Dooch? Is it
Jesse? Right?
I think
you did mine last time.
Is it Sean? It must be Sean. It went me, then Jesse. Then
back to me.
Then Matt.
Oh,
yeah. So
Sean, what you got for us?
Let's see. I did a backup option the last time. I'm going to do it again. Or no, not the last time. The first time.
Please, listen before you say anything, Sean. Just let me let me make a plea to you. We've done 2 reading ones in a row. Please don't make me fucking read. Okay, I'm just begging you. But go ahead, do what you got to do.
No.
Wait, you don't want to make you fuck or read or fucking read.
Exactly.
So
either and or. Either and
so
or.
We're gonna give Curtis a break because honestly this one taxed me too, trying to get the time in to do this. So the first option that I have, if everybody's already seen this one, then we're gonna do a different one. The first option I had, since it is getting to Halloween, and I will definitely not be able to do one around that time because every other week, the way we're going, it won't work. I was thinking, I brought it up on the show when we talked about Cloak and Dagger, Fright Night.
Ooh, I've wanted to check that out anyway. So yeah,
have you ever?
I like
the original.
The original from the 80s Fright Night that was actually written by Tom Holland, who also wrote Cloak and Dagger. And it's not Spider-Man, the other guy.
Gotcha.
Besides you mentioning Fright Night, I have never heard of Fright Night. So.
Okay. All right. Well, then we'll do that for the Halloween season. Since, like I said, next month it won't be my turn, so I figure I'll do it now.
That sounds great because I've been wanting to watch that anyway. And I'll tell you guys right now, I'm definitely going to watch Black Cauldron as well because I just saw that it's on Disney Plus. So
yep, it's there. I've watched it a couple times since I had.
Yeah. So I'm going to be checking out both of those. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if I watch one of them tonight. So.
And Curtis will watch Fright Night. He'll watch the remake. He'll watch the TV series.
Well, didn't you guys say? My memory is a little fuzzy, but Sean, didn't you say something about after you watch the original Fright Night that watching the other one afterward, or is like you have to kind of watch both? Is that correct?
Not necessarily. I personally, the newer one that has Anton Yelchin and Colin Farrell, that one is almost like a whole different take on what Fright Night, the original, was about.
Okay.
Like there is a character played by Roddy McDowall who he's kind of like Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, kind of like Hammer films where he's a vampire hunter in the movies. That character, what's his name? Peter Vincent. And in the new Fright Night, that's played by David Tennant, and he is a Vegas magician. So it's like a whole different take on what this is even about. So for what we're doing, just stick to the script on the 80s one. If you do want to go to the other one and just see what the differences are, that's completely cool because it's been a while since I've seen.
But you prefer the original anyway.
I absolutely. The original is definitely something you need to see if you have not seen it. So.
Okay.
I would definitely not watch the new one before watching the original.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Stick to the 80s first, and then if you want the new one.
With in mind that sometimes the original isn't the best. Sometimes you have to make some adjustments. From our good friend Matt Rodriguez, here's the new Disney Princess lineup. Disney Princesses. I don't know who this lovely lady is there, but she is pretty hot. And then from
that is Jezebel.
Yes, she is a Jezebel. And then from our good friend Billy Beige. There we go.
Oh,
There's
look at that.
some beach volleyball for you. So
it looks more like the crazy cult guy from the remake of Clash of the Titans.
Billy, you can do better.
Yeah, he was.
That was a rush job.
I think it was a rush job, and he said that Jesse wears too many dark T-shirts. So I don't know what that had to do with anything, but so yeah, so fun times.
I love it.
All right,
beautiful. Do we have a lightning round to close out the show? Is that something that is available?
Is it that time already?
It is. It is lightning round time.
It's lightning round time. All right.
It's getting to be almost midnight for these East Coast guys.
Oh, what a bunch of losers.
9 hours and 8 minutes until Figure Obscura drops.
What's that now? That you did? What is that?
Figura Obscura.
Is that's a thing?
Is there a cabal for that?
There is a cabal.
No, there's also
there is a happy birthday cabal.
There's a happy birthday cabal. There's a Thursday cabal. No Friday cabal yet, but it is coming.
We'll get there.
So,
yes. It's Friday.
Did you guys talk about that earlier?
Yes, we did.
We talked about the Figure Obscura, not the.
I just want to make sure you got it. Yeah. All right. Get my notes up here.
And just so you know, Joe says that yellow is definitely Jesse's color. So
I agree.
Joe is a Jezebel fan.
All right.
Growing up, I would say Belle is my number 2 Disney princess.
Okay.
Technically number 3.
All right, here we go. Lightning round. Who's your favorite Disney princess?
That's who are we starting with?
Jesse, because he already started talking. And then we'll go Curtis.
Merida.
Ooh.
Merida from Brave.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Solid choice. Curtis?
Man, I'm gonna have to go Cinderella, I guess. I like the humble beginnings, you know, keep them a little humble. I don't want them getting too full of themselves. So, you know, I like I like a woman that can clean the fireplace and not complain about it. So
That's all she did was complain about it. Her and those mice talking shit all day long.
my wife's giving me a glare from across the room. All right,
Sean.
Sean.
Moana.
Okay.
Okay.
Going recent here. I got to go with Princess Jasmine.
That was my second choice.
Yeah, she's fiery, strong. Good times.
Okay.
All right.
Well, actually, I'm gonna change my answer.
Oh,
I'm gonna change my answer.
we got change. Lightning change.
Lightning change. I'm gonna go Princess Leia.
Oh
No,
you went
get outta
there.
here.
That's a Disney princess.
No,
That is a Disney princess, man.
no.
He's got you.
Yep.
He's got you. Yep. Take a
Jesse
shot.
was mad that you didn't think of it.
No, I'm not mad. I hate that. It's so,
He's gonna lose it.
Wow, what kind of a shot did you take? That one shot just freaking took everything.
It's the
off
Batman
of
v Superman Jesse rage. All right.
You good there, Jesse?
yeah, I'm fine.
Lightning round.
Sure.
Right.
Oh, lightning round.
You don't want to. You don't
Yeah.
want my explanation. So let's just keep going.
Why don't we?
I want your
No.
explanation. That's why I asked.
Listen, I listened to you incorrectly try to defend Falcon and Winter Soldier ending like multiple times now. I can definitely listen to your whole Disney Princess Leia take.
Hit us. What we got?
She's not a Disney princess.
Why?
Star Wars was purchased by Disney.
Correct.
Does not make her a Disney princess.
Disney
then
owns Star Wars, right?
Cinderella's not a Disney princess because that's based on a fable that Disney made into a movie.
But Disney didn't make Star Wars. George Lucas
they
did
own Star
at
Wars.
Fox. They own Star Wars now.
But they
And
made
she's a princess for Star Wars.
they made Force Awakens, correct?
She wasn't a princess in that movie.
How is she not a princess? She
Her
is.
planet doesn't exist anymore. She's, a general. So, anyway, moving on.
That's just because she was looking for love in Alderaan places.
Oh my god!
Thank you, fanboys. Dan Fogler rocked that line in that.
I love that movie.
All right, lightning round.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna. Where is it? Yeah, that's what it was. I'm gonna keep rolling with some Star Wars love here. You can get rid of one species from the Star Wars universe entirely. Is it? There's a choice of two.
Okay.
Is it the Ewoks or the Gungans? Which one do you get rid of?
You're starting with Jesse.
Yeah, same order. Lightning.
Gungans.
Jesse hates killing any species, so.
No, there's just other things I would get rid of in Star Wars.
Who's next? Sean, you, me,
You.
me. Gungans easily. It's not even close. Like, yeah.
Gungans.
Yeah, Gungans. I was like the Ewoks.
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot of people out there that hate them, so.
I like the Gungans, so that was just a dumb choice.
You just killed them all, though.
Yeah, why'd you kill him if you like him, Jesse? Do you like me, Jesse? Are you going to kill me someday?
Maybe.
It's not ruling anything out. Depends if you beat him in beach volleyball or not.
You will beat me. I'm not good. I just like doing it.
That's the story of my life. That's going to be out of
Well, part of me knocking out my own teammate with a volleyball did you not get earlier?
The thing about beach volleyball is, though, the sand. It's so coarse.
It gets everywhere.
It gets everywhere.
Evan,
Lightning
you're
round.
never getting a Darth Jar Jar unless it's an Elseworlds.
That's probably one of the best fanfics ever. But it's
Oh, yes.
purely fanfic.
No, it's not.
What is the weirdest place you've ever gone to the bathroom?
Oof.
I love Jesse's expressions.
I don't. My own pants?
Well, I'm gonna have to go back to, I believe, the first episode that we have at OffWorld and say in a lake.
In a lake.
Were there other people around you?
That my sister was right next to me, and I knew I wasn't going to make it in. Just to rehash the story, and
I don't remember this story.
dropped
Where
the
was
deuce, and it started
Dropped
to
the
float,
deuce.
and it was going to float right to her, and
Herb
she had her
stopped
back
it.
turned, and so I quickly reached for it, shoved it down into the bottom of the lake, and waffle stomped it into the mud. So
And 9 months later, a little Curtis swam up from the.
So that
semen.
would definitely be, I tried to think of a different answer, but there is no weirder place for me than waffle stomping your turd into a bottom of the lake.
I had completely forgotten about that. So thank you for that.
I believe my story came from that episode as well. So
yeah.
share the story. I think that we're just sharing embarrassing stories for some reason.
Yep.
Happens.
Lightning round.
I had to go so bad once that I couldn't find a bathroom anywhere, and I was in my car trying to get back to my job. Pulled off the road. There was a church with a bunch of lumber in its parking lot, and I got in between some of the lumber and just went for it. Number one, not number two, but I just stood there for about 3 minutes. All of it, and I'm like, I hope to God they don't have video surveillance in this place. And that was about the end. And I drove off, and I've yet to get any kind of a fine, so obviously nothing happened.
Yeah, I didn't know we were doing number one stories. With that in mind, just a quick question.
I just said to the bathroom.
Let me do a quick lightning round here, because I'm sure we've all done it where you try to pee into a bottle, and listen, I'm not saying that.
Gatorade wide mouth.
Listen, I'm not saying no, just a regular 20-ounce bottle, like soda.
I'm just saying.
And I'm not saying you don't have to get the whole thing into the you just need to get the lips of the penis
right
inside. Yeah. The penis lips. And anyway,
as long as the hole's there.
Yeah.
The hole.
And have you ever thought that it'll definitely fit in this 20 ounce, and then as it gets close to the end, you're like, 20 ounces isn't enough, and I don't know what to do because I can't shut this off at this point.
So you're dumb and dumbering the beer bottles. That's what you're doing.
kind of, yeah.
I will say,
has that ever happened to any of you guys where you picked a container that was definitely not the right size?
20 ounce has always been enough, but I do have a smaller bladder than most people I know.
Okay.
So yeah, 20 ounces has always been plenty. So.
What was that damn movie?
Looks like he froze.
He's trying to compute.
Oh,
Jesse, how many ounces of urine do you have in your system?
I don't know. Lately, a lot.
So, do you ever see the movie The Watch? It's got Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies.
So,
it's so fucking funny.
The part where he has to do that when they're on the stakeout, and Vince Vaughn, like, hey, let me have that bottle. And he's like, it's going. Oh my God, this is almost sexual. Every time I see that bit, I'm almost in tears laughing, and I'm picturing Curtis doing that now, and it makes it even like, whoa. Whole new level of understanding now.
Jesse and Matt, have you guys seen that movie?
No.
Yes.
Matt, you got it. Like, that movie is so fucking funny. It's ridiculously hilarious. So it's very inappropriate, but it's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
According to genev.com, 8 to 16 ounces is like a normal average of pee.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
20-ounce bottle should satisfy most men.
Gotcha. But you got to also keep in mind, if you're at the point where you feel the need to go into a bottle, you're probably pushing maximum capacity.
Don't give me so much credit, Joe.
He's totally doing it. He's sitting back going, what are the decisions I've made in my life that have brought me here?
So let me see here. That time, so if I get to Matt at 98 to 99 and don't let him watch He-Man, then none of this happens. Okay.
No, he's thinking, he's got to go further. He's going to go back to 3rd grade and never let me talk to him. He'll be like, no, I'm not talking to you ever. You're going to talk about pee and poop things later in life.
Just because I can't process something doesn't mean I don't wish it didn't exist. My life would be so much worse without you guys.
Matt, what you didn't give us yours. Where's your?
You went off on your
go ahead.
Overflow tangent.
I'm redirecting the conversation. Here we go.
So I was on my way to a major sporting event in my local area. And we would always ride the train in whenever we went there. And one of the cool things about the train going into Chicago is that you can drink on the train. And so by the time we got to the field, I was already quite a few in. And all the porta potties out before you go through the gates were all lines around the, way back. And I'm with my nephew. I'm like, I can hold it. And we're heading up to the gates. And the gates, sometimes you can hit it early enough that you can zoom right through. Big lines at the gates too. I am not going to make it there. I'm not going to make it back to those porta potties. In the walkways, like in the middle, they have these bushes that are square, but the inside, there's nothing inside. And so I'm like, there was one that had a little bit more of a gap, but in like the corner of the bushes. And I'm like, Joey, stand right here. And I slip into the bushes and I'm being.
Is this a metaphor? Well, I'm lost here.
No, this is 100% fact. Outside of Soldier Field in Chicago, everybody's walking to the gates, and I'm standing on the inside of these bushes just releasing my tank.
All right. Well,
that's
there we go.
This place for me.
Lightning round.
And now he has to register as a sex offender.
Only if you get caught.
There you go.
Again, same as you. It's the same story as you, Sean. Just
I know. I'm just, but there was no one around me.
He wasn't in front of a stadium full of people.
We were outside the stadium.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, we hadn't gone in the stadium.
But there are other people on the outside too. It's not like you were all alone in a lumberyard.
Yeah.
Sean all alone in the lumberyard. Get upstairs.
What you doing? Measuring?
Just looking at wood.
Looking at wood measurements. Get it done.
Yeah. Oh boy. Good stuff. We have one more lightning round.
Nope, that was your 3.
Oh, damn it. You always leave me wanting more.
That's how you gotta leave them. That's right. Sean is holier than thou lumber.
Yeah.
Sean, when you were telling that story, I thought you were leaving a log in the log. So, like, that was definitely...
That would have been worse.
No, it was no logs. There were logs that were used to aim at, but that was about the extent of it. There were no logs left by me in the lumberyard.
If Sean lived in the sitcom world, that would be him, like, in the logs, pulling down his pants, and all of a sudden, like, a crane, like, lifts up the front one, and he's like...
I totally want to see it played out with my story where, like a 12-year-old kid is in the lake and his, like 8-year-old sister is next to him and he can't make it out and he has to take a shit. and the shit is floating towards his sister, and he has to like dive towards it, shove it to the ground, and waffle stomp it in the ground. I want to see that played out on a sitcom.
The part with the coming up and you're worried about it. It's like then all of a sudden the Jaws theme kicks in and you're like, ah!
Well, and it was one of those things too, because like so it floats to the top, which I wasn't expecting because I don't know. I guess I didn't know that shit floated. I don't or whatever. I was like, I didn't know it was going to come. I figured it was just going to drop to the bottom of the lake and everything would be great. Floats? Well, this shit did. It floated. It went right to the top. And then it was one of those things like, kids are out there playing and splashing and stuff. And so it's like at the top of the water and it's doing one of these, like, kind of and slowly, like, so if her back is here and the shit's here, it's like slowly getting closer. And the waves, like each wave is pushing it a little bit closer to her. And yeah, it was just a double-handed reach, dive, smash it into the ground. So, because I mean, can you imagine, like, first of all, me and my sister didn't get along real well anyway. If she turns around and a piece of poop just floats and hits her in the arm, I mean, what do I say? Like, that was weird. I wonder whose that is. Like, like there's no way to talk yourself out of that.
You could have done the explanation. Harry and the Hendersons when the woman goes, "Conto took his shit in my pool."
Yeah, I mean, I can't talk my way out of that. And then to have her then go and explain to my parents how I pooped in the lake and it touched her, like that would have been just the worst. So as much as I didn't want to have poop in my toes as I'm waffle stomping it, it was better than the alternative.
So I think sitcom Curtis would have to be like, oh, that's just a Snickers bar.
Bill Murray and Caddyshack,
yeah. Baby Ruth.
Okay to me.
Oh, I think that I got to go back and listen to episode 1 now because I have no idea how we would have even gotten on there.
I think it's the off week, like the initial. I don't think it's the first full episode.
I think it was episode 0.
Yeah, I think it's the 0. I don't think you were there, Matt.
No, I was there for 0. I wasn't for off week.
No, I don't know. I thought it was
0 was the pre-recorded one before we were
that's
quite
right.
sure what we were doing.
When Matt was gonna try like all these different, he had to adjust the levels, and we had to sit there for 2 hours before the show started. Remember, he had to adjust all the volumes and stuff before he agreed to use StreamYard.
Maybe it was the first off week then.
Maybe
that could be.
Was
I have no memory of that.
Because I remember Joe Gonzalez specifically losing his mind in the comments at that.
Yes,
yeah. I don't know how I would have forgotten that. So,
well, I think Joe will listen to it later because didn't he say he was like listening to it like out and about or something? And he
was at work or something. Maybe,
yeah,
right?
he had to like pull over or something because he's fucking dying.
Oh, Kevin, that's a good one. I am adding that to the list, Kevin. Look forward to that.
There you go.
In a later lightning round. All right, Curtis, where can they find us if they like us or if they hate us?
You can find us on the Legendati Facebook group. I did go live today. If anybody's interested in that, I was out on my porch swing. It was a nice little day, and I was just kind of hanging out. Talked about how wrong Jesse is about Winter Soldier. And just life in general, a lot of things. So check out my live there.
Oh no, your mic went out.
You can typically see about all of our shows, that we've got going on in there, including OffWorld, which is every other Friday, sometimes an off week. We've got what?
We've missed what, 1?
No, we've missed like 3 or 4. We haven't done the last like 2 off weeks. So, and then we missed 1 before that. So yeah, it's been about 3, maybe. I think it's 3. But anyway, maybe we'll do an off week next week. We'll see. We don't know. Whatever happened. I am always available, but these guys like Dooch is out. He is
bullshit.
You did not sign a contract for off weeks. So I don't think Dooch has ever made an off week.
Correct.
You bailed
and
on
I
last
said
week's.
from the beginning.
I
that's
did
how
not
off weeks-
bail. I said I didn't want to run it. I said I would be here if somebody else promoted it and ran it. I was recovering, but I said I would be here.
I have texts that say differently.
Oh, we can look back.
No,
because
you
I
no.
definitely
He
said,
totally said that.
I
He
said
totally
I will
said
be
that.
there on Friday
Early.
if somebody wants to run it and promote it. I just can't do that right now because I was recovering. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing, guys. Just so you know, for the off week thing, Dooch did not sign a contract for off weeks. He's not down with it.
That's
Jesse-
how off week was created.
Yeah. Jesse will be late, which is okay. I understood that. We knew that going in. And then Sean's usually my ride or die on the off week. So it's usually me, Sean, Jesse later, and Dooch never shows up, which is really the main reason why off weeks don't happen is because of Dooch. So, so there you go. But
Not
Legendary
sure your
Facebook group.
That doesn't make any sense.
What doesn't make any sense?
Well, and that's why 3 and 4 make purple.
Exactly.
Well, you got
Brought to you
listen.
by
Here's
Curtis
the thing. Here's the thing. For 3 of us to like tonight when Dooch was running late, for 3 of us to carry on with the show, it's not that bad. We have some good conversations, talk about some things, carry it on. 2 people carrying it on without being able to touch any of the topics that we have to discuss until the third person shows up an hour and a half later, knowing the fourth person is never going to be there, is just a little difficult. So unless we bring in a guest, like we have sometimes, which we may have to do more often, like Joe Gonzalez in the chat, it's a little difficult to just run the show until Jesse gets here. Jesse is an integral part.
I want to see some fan art of Curtis and Sean riding on the little scooter, Dumb and Dumber style. Now,
oh, nice.
That's the off week.
Nice.
And see, I thought that was the whole point of off week. It was just like show up and talk about whatever.
Well, it is, and what may be beneficial is if we are going to do an off week, to start it at a time where you can be home, rather than
I don't know when I'll be home.
Understood, but a
stuff we should talk about.
Time closer to when you're going to be on.
They love this stuff. See, there's
they like the behind the curtain.
As it's all been dropping from like 12 earlier.
Yeah. Whatever.
Oh, it's been dropping from 12 earlier for a while. It's been 9.
Yeah, it dropped as soon as you joined the stream. So, anyway, Legendary Facebook group. These guys will talk to you about everything else. So, contest. I'm gonna pass it off to Jesse here, but there's a cool contest going on if you're in the Cabal. And with that, Jesse, tell them about it.
I'm going to be a stickler and call it a challenge more than a contest. It's the hashtag Paint It Up challenge going on in the Mythic Legions Cabal. Curse and I launched it on Sunday night on Shooting the Shelf with our chat with Sig Enriquez. Do a post in the Mythic Legions Cabal with the hashtag Paint It Up of your first or one of your earliest customs, whether it's something you did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or tomorrow. Just put some paint on something, have fun with it, and we've got a lot of awesome prizes, figures directly from the Horsemen, and 3D printed parts from not all, but a lot of the 3D studios that do add-on parts for Legions as prizes. We'll be doing a prize wheel on Saturday, October 7th, time to be determined, probably in the evening sometime. On the Just Shelve It channel. So stay tuned to that post in the Cabal for more details. We're adding more prizes to that initial post that is pinned daily until we run out of prizes.
There you go. Tomorrow's will not be bright and early in the morning because Jesse and I have to talk about some more prize packages. But we also have a guest on this Sunday, Jesse, which is...
This week we have Brian Lynn from Carver Customs, the man behind the awesome dios and a lot of the torches. There are other people that do torches too that are also awesome, but that is kind of like his signature thing is the torches and braziers and different things that light up for your mythics or 1/12 scale dio stuff. So we'll tune in 9 p.m. Eastern Sunday night for that on Just Shelve It, Shooting the Shelf. Good times.
Beautiful. With I heard there may be some new stuff coming, some stickers, some logos and stuff. Is there any truth to that?
Oh, I mean, maybe there's some stuff in the
Ooh,
works.
nice.
Yeah, you'll just stay tuned. Legion's Con, something, maybe, etc.
Beautiful.
So forth.
All right.
Have you? Yes. Sean, anything yet?
Okay. We did our latest episode of Legends of Grayskull this week, and you can find wherever you listen to podcasts. It's also on YouTube if you want to check it out. If you watch the video version, you will get to see a new surprise, which is the Legends of Grayskull logo that has been quite a long time in the making. And Matt and I are talking about possibly even doing a contest of naming the character in the logo. We will reach out to you when that time comes and let you know what we want to do with that, though. But keep an eye out for that contest in the Legendati group.
Yep.
Yeah, and definitely watch it on YouTube because that's much better than the audio. So
Hey, come on now.
See this to enjoy.
exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Oh. All right, guys. I think they all nailed it. Thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in. Later, Gators. I don't know where anything is. Curtis, hit some buttons.
Oh, I'm a button pusher. How about let's try this one?